All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 105.1 The Fan and The Fan Sports Network. Good morning. Happy Thursday.
What is happening?
We are Shaquille O'Neal, Keem Olajuwon, and Giannis Antetokounmpo days away from your Trailblazers tipping off basketball.
I didn't know how you were going to pick. There's a lot of dudes that have worn 34
It's
in
a
the
three-way
NBA.
tie.
A lot of 34s out there.
Three-way tie.
Who's the best Blazer to ever wear number 34?
That is a
Dale
good...
Davis?
Was Dale Davis 34?
You had Dale Davis. You had Kenny Carr.
Kenny Carr. Oh, Kenny Carr's a good
You
pull.
had Isaiah Ryder.
That's when
J.R.
I was
Ryder.
thinking 34. That was the first one that popped into my mind.
J.R. Ryder had some moments.
He absolutely did have some moments.
They were brief, but
I mean, he wasn't. There's some problems off the floor, and there's
the
some
great
issues.
Jabari
and,
Walker.
Yes.
even in this hellscape.
Yeah, I mean, he had multiple years in Portland where he was a pretty phenomenal player, J.R. Ryder.
I believe it was Robin Jones who was on the championship team.
How could anybody forget Robin
Big
Jones?
fan of Robin Jones.
The only player on that roster that he didn't have his number retired.
Pretty much.
Why didn't he get 34 retired?
I think it was his only year in Portland.
That was
I
only
think
one
it's
year.
J.R. Ryder.
I think I go J.R. Ryder. I think
Also, when did he go from Isaiah Ryder to J.R. Ryder? Because he was Isaiah Ryder with the Wolves, and then he came here and he was J.R. Ryder.
And then didn't he go
Yes.
back later?
I think he did.
he was switched back to Isaiah.
He was.
J.R. to Isaiah
I don't
that's
know.
a wild swing.
That
Is
is
it not?
You're going back and forth.
Like if he was Justin Ryder,
It'd be like Muhammad Ali going back to Cassius Clay late in his career. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, what are we doing here? huh?
Justin Ryder to J.R. Ryder. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a initial there you want involved, but Isaiah to J.R. is,
So I just Googled AI, the best player to ever wear 34.
well, for
For
in
the
general.
Blazers.
Yeah, for the Blazers, and they're already wrong. So, yeah, we're off on
Who are they
this one.
saying?
The first name that popped up, the player to wear number 34 for the Trailblazers, is Bonzi Wells.
He was 6.
He was number 6. He didn't
6.
wear 34.
I'm telling you, 100%, because
We're already
we
over
all
one.
do it on this station.
Because I'm like, who am I forgetting that wore number 34? And then, yeah.
The Google AI bot is the worst AI bot.
My favorite thing is next to the AI overview of it saying he wore 34, there is a picture, Trailblazers top 100, a quote that shocked the world. It's a picture of Bonzi Wells literally in a number 6 jersey.
Oh, is that when he's
Right next to
flipping
it.
off the crowd?
Probably, doing something Bonzi Wells did over the years.
You remember, I forget who the player was, but you had said something about tattoos. And I think the answer was Giannis with no tattoos. And I was like, oh. And I Googled Giannis, no tattoos, ? And it was, I'm just using it as, it was like some random player.
Right.
And it generated that he had tattoos and it wasn't Giannis. And I'm like,
This doesn't help me at all.
what is wrong with this AI situation?
Thanks for the impact here, AI. You really answered that question for me. No solutions found.
I loved me some Kenny Carr back in the day, though.
Yeah, Kenny Carr a little before my time.
Yeah, he was a rebounding machine.
I remember his
was
kid
your-
more than I do him. His
He
kid was a problem.
your prototypical undersized power forward in the NBA. He was 6'7", but
Sure.
was probably about 250.
I'm going to tell you something really stupid.
Yeah, what do you
You
got?
forgot Barkley. Did you say Barkley?
No.
Oh,
Was 34?
Keem, Shaq, Giannis
Wow.
above Barkley.
whoa, hot takes.
I don't think that's a hot take.
I mean, it's not that hot, but I think Barkley.
Why would
deserves,
that be a hot take?
I think Barkley deserves to be in the conversation.
Okay.
Wow,
I don't.
just dumping all over Charles Barkley.
No, he dumps on the game. So this is going to sound
Terrible,
really
terrible,
stupid.
Kenny. Terrible,
Barkley was great.
terrible, Kenny.
But he's not above Giannis, Hakeem, and Shaq. In my mind.
Okay.
You think he's better than one of those two players?
Do we need to revisit our top 10s? Do we need to do top 10?
Well, if I went by
Top
the top
5
10,
player 34s of all time?
if I went by the top 10, it would be one player, and Shaq would technically win because Hakeem was not above Shaq in my ranking.
That is true.
Yeah.
He was not above
Shaq
Shaq in my
was right
rankings
there.
either.
But Hakeem beat Shaq in a finals,
Did.
He did.
and I think he is grossly underrated in NBA
Massively
history.
underrated.
Okay.
And I also think he's one of the few guys from previous eras that in today's modern game would be just as good, if not better.
I think he'd be Jokic.
I think all those guys would have been pretty solid in the modern game, would they not?
Shaq?
I mean, Shaq.
Shaq shooting threes one-handed.
I don't know
He's
about
coming down,
shooting threes,
pulling up.
but he if you go Orlando Shaq, like he handled the rock, and he would,
I think he'd be
there's
awesome.
different
Yeah.
versions of Shaq.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more Orlando Shaq.
I don't
also,
think,
Laker Shaq, nobody could stop. I don't care what era you're in.
Yeah.
Somebody,
No,
not going
I
to dump
think
it down
he'd
to him on
be-
the block.
I think
Guys
he'd
that
be
shoot
great,
threes.
but in this era, it's so high-driven of threes.
Yes, it is.
shooting.
I think he'd be great.
Who would have translated the best?
Akeem.
Really?
He could handle the ball. He already hit top of the key jumper, so it would not have been a stretch for him to just shoot more three. I mean, that wasn't part of the game. They didn't practice it.
Akeem for sure would have translated.
Akeem had
really
a
well.
nice.
Oh, I'm not saying he wouldn't have translated.
Yeah.
Would he have translated better than Barkley?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he's better than Barkley.
He's better than
In
Barkley.
his era, he was better than Barkley.
Yes.
Barkley joined his team.
Yes.
He did join his team. You're not wrong there.
Here's the other part of this, too. In a lot of ways, when you look at the numbers, now I know numbers don't speak to what we see all the time, right? But if you look at the numbers, Giannis puts up Shaq numbers.
He does.
So if you were to say translates into this era, Giannis can't shoot. He's tried it. It doesn't work.
No, it's not his thing.
He shoots the midi or he attacks the paint.
Yeah.
I think if Shaq played in the era and you had Orlando Shaq, it'd be a slightly thicker version of what we're seeing
It's exactly
with Giannis.
yeah, he'd be running the floor and dunking on everybody.
Yes.
With no ability to stop him because he's just going downhill.
And they'd say, shoot the three, dude, and he'd miss, and he'd
Yeah.
shoot like 31%.
And he'd say, how about I go average 33 points per game taking it to the hoop? That's
Right.
going to work just fine for me.
Right.
Do I need to shoot three-pointers? I think I'll be okay without shooting
I think
three-pointers.
Akeem's game would be the same, and then he'd add the 3-point shot. And
I honest to God, I really think he would be doing what Jokic is doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was an
and he's
all-around
more
unit.
athletic than Jokic.
100% right. Now, here's the stupid part. And people are going to hear this and laugh and go, how did you guys not piece this together?
This is a great way to shoehorn NBA talk into the show every day. Brilliant move on your part.
The closer
Brilliant
it gets,
move.
the closer it gets.
34 days.
I just know who the answer better be tomorrow. I already gave you my top 33. It better be my guy.
I don't know, man. One guy was on my top 10. One guy wasn't. We'll have to see.
One guy played for the Blazers.
Well, some guy should have played for the Blazers, but we
Yeah.
draft Michael Thompson instead.
That is true. We kind of screwed that one up.
So here is the stupid answer to our, how did you go from that to that? How you go Isaiah to JR? He's Isaiah Ryder Jr., so his nickname was JR, not Junior. Imagine if he would have gone Junior Ryder.
Junior Ryder doesn't sound as good as J.R. Ryder.
No.
J.R. Ryder
as
has
a play-by-play
more.
guy. That's
Junior Ryder.
no.
That's
A great shot by Junior Ryder.
J.R. Ryder. It just sounds a lot better.
It does sound a lot
Flows
better.
off the tongue
There's-
much better.
Yeah, there's too much oral gymnastics I got to do there to spit that
Since
out.
we're on this topic, did you guys see what NBC's going to do for certain games next year in terms of broadcasting?
Oh, no.
Ooh,
no.
I may have missed this.
I have an NBA thing in my nuggies.
Oh.
You want me to get to it right now
I'm
since we're
really-
talking NBA?
Really?
So I don't know. I don't think it's for every game or if it's just certain crews, but one of the first games that they're doing on Peacock and NBC, they're trying something called what is essentially a bench analyst. So it's going to be a 3-person booth. Noah Eagle, I think, is the primary
Yeah, he's the
play-by-play guy.
number one.
Okay.
So he's going to sit center court
Right.
and be alone center court, and then they're going to put an analyst on the bench of each team,
Like at the end?
like next to the assistant coaches. And they're essentially supposed to. I'll pull up the story.
And they're going
give
to
you
do
the-
play-by-play with Noah Eagle?
So Noah Eagle's going to do the play-by-play,
Yeah.
and then the two analysts are going to be the normal analysts. They're just sitting on the benches of the teams instead of sitting next to Noah Eagle.
But they're not going to say how they feel
And
because they're next to a coach.
Right, and they're supposed to basically provide so in this huddle, guys, here's what the coach was saying. Like they're giving you inside access
Yeah,
to
like
what's
coaches are going to be down.
Wait.
with that.
So they're basically taking away the color analyst role and giving us two sideline reporters?
Essentially, yes, but they're going to talk throughout the game, I believe, like a normal color analyst. I don't know how it's
Why
going to
would
work, but
you-
I don't know. Don't take shots at me. I just read this
From
yesterday.
a production
Let me go find the story,
standpoint,
and I'll give you the
because
specifics.
I sit right next to the Pilots bench for Pilots games, and Coach Legs is up and down, and he's got to watch when every once in a while, he will turn it towards me away from the officials and tell us what he really thinks about that particular
Well,
call.
coaches can break through sometimes on the team
Yes.
play-by-play mics a
If
little
you
bit.
have
can
a
hear him,
hot mic sitting right next to the assistant coaches,
So here's what it said. Let me read this. So it said,
Okay.
on
Come
Tuesday,
on.
NBC revealed they're going to attempt a brand new way of covering NBA action, what the network is calling, quote, on the bench. When the Cavs face the Pistons on October 27th, it'll be the debut of the concept. The streamer will position its broadcasters in totally unique ways. Noah Eagle will take the mic at traditional center court in the broadcast booth. However, he will have one analyst located near each bench of the Cavs and Pistons, respectively, by their assistant coaches. Austin Rivers will be on the Cavs bench, and Robbie Hummel will be on the Pistons sideline. And each analyst will then present analysis, insight, and reports geared towards their respective teams, including relay what they hear from the huddles and the timeouts.
Can I also comment publicly, because I think going into it, I'm going to tell you for the record, I hate the idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is
It's
going
to be very
good.
weird.
I also think they're going to be at the scores table, not on a
That's
seat
what
next
my
to a
guess would be. They're
coach.
saying near the bench or near the end of the bench.
Yeah.
Like, my guess is you're not going to be sitting directly next to one.
I still find that very odd, because how is Austin supposed to know if Robbie's going to talk or Robbie know if Austin's going to talk? And then
and then you're going to have producers in their ears all. Yeah, it's not.
I don't know how this is going to go.
I don't think it's going to go well.
I appreciate that's the NBC's
Listen,
opening
NBC,
game.
I believe that's their opening game, October 27th,
So-
Cavs and Pistons.
NBC got the NBA back.
No, I
And
think
look-
that's the second week.
Is that second week?
Oh, okay. I was going to say
It just
thought
says
October-
the 27th Cavs and Pistons game is the first
well,
game
the
they're gonna
Blazers'
try.
first home game is the 22nd. So
Then it would be
yeah.
the second week of the NBA,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, look, I'm Mr. Let's highlight all the teams in the NBA and not just keep it to two. And if you would have told me Cavs Pistons was the opening NBC's
No,
back
it's not.
with the
It's
NBA
the
game,
Thunder. No, the Thunder's opening.
I mean, as a hoop head, you're probably excited about that, but I don't know if that's reaching the masses
It's
here.
Thunder, Rockets, and then
yeah.
Lakers, Warriors, I think, is the opening
yes,
doubleheader.
that sounds right.
Okay.
On like the 21st or something.
that makes way more sense.
That sounds correct. That's a better doubleheader than Cavs and no offense to the Cavs and Pistons, two very good teams. You are right. Rockets, Thunders tips it off, and then it's Warriors, Lakers.
Yes, and I expect to see John Tesh at at midcourt, bringing us back to NBC.
Fun J.R. Ryder story before we get going here.
Yeah.
1998-99, they had the Fan Fest situation. I'd never been. And my little brother's really good friend's dad is a diehard Blazer fan. I told the story once. He snuck us down to sit in closer seats because we used to be at the top of the arena.
It's a big deal for a kid.
We sat in Paul Allen's seat. So when the security guard came over, he goes, "Excuse me, sir." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, these are our seats." He goes, "No, they're not.
they're
Paul
not."
Allen's."
You don't look like Paul Allen. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to move.
And he goes, "You're right." We got up and we left. Allen Iverson game, by the way.
Hey.
98-99 went to the Fan Fest. We got in there early. We were sitting courtside. J.R. Ryder, against his own team, did a turnaround fadeaway at around the three-point line in the corner. He missed. He turned. He landed on somebody, looked right at me, and went, "Oh, And my mom just looked at me and went, "Oh, my God, that's how they talk."
Don't
and I'm
repeat
like,
that word. Don't repeat that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to tell my mom, I talk like that, too.
I do that at school when I'm not at home, too. That's exactly what I'm saying when I'm playing at recess.
Great moment. All-time
go.
great
Look
moment.
at
I was a big J.R. Ryder guy. As
I
a
was
kid.
too.
How could you not be? Like, I didn't have the full concept of all the off-the-court stuff. I just enjoyed me watching J.R. Ryder. You know, the J.O. Blazers didn't quite hit home
He
yet.
was an experience.
Dude, it was a fun 3 years.
He was
It was
yes.
a fun 3 years of J.R. Ryder.
He was a good player. He was a good
He was
player
a
for
really
3
good
years.
player.
Best number 34 in Blazer history.
Dude, in Portland, he averaged 16, 19 in his last year, not so much, almost 14. But
Yeah,
like
his career ended pretty quickly after that, if I remember correctly. Like
he
they
had
traded him, and then they
3 more seasons after that.
okay.
Yeah. That last season was 10 games. That was over. So really two
Two more
seasons
seasons after
that.
that. He faded relatively quickly, but when he came over from like he was a good player in Minnesota early in his career.
He was a fun, exciting
He
player.
was,
in
and then
Minnesota,
coming
yeah.
over, you're like, hey, this could be kind of fun. He won a dunk contest.
Famously, talked Michael Jordan, and that did not end well for him.
Usually
No.
didn't go well for
No.
people that tried that.
No.
That is one of my favorite NBA stories of all time that Garnett tells, and it wasn't even him that was trash talking him; it was Garnett trash talking him on behalf of J.R. Ryder.
Oh, that's right.
And then J.R. Ryder's like, dude, what are you doing?
Shut up.
Shut up. And it was Garnett's rookie year, I think.
It
and,
was.
And then they just looked at each other like, yep, I'm not going to do that again.
Mike lit him up. All right, we got a busy show today. We got 2 guests. Pate State University at 7:40. And Bill Riley. Big nooner.
They got a big one this weekend.
Big nooner for the Big 12.
They've got to be kind of pissed over there.
For the big nooner start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're only an
10
hour ahead of us.
Yeah.
10 a.m.?
10 a.m. start time? That's tough.
That's tough.
That's for a big game, that's not ideal.
Well, we got a Magic Hat Thursday as well, and our big pack picks.
There you go.
The big PP.
There you go.
There are only 2 games to pick because
Yep.
we got rivalry weekend.
We need a bounce back week. Wasn't a great week for everybody. At least for me, it wasn't. I got to go look at everybody
I
else.
went 2-1.
Did you go 2-1?
I went 2-1.
I know I went 0 for
I
this
faded
week.
the
I
beast.
might have gone. Oh, maybe I was.
You were 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
we all took Oregon. That didn't work out.
All right, let's get it going. Dirt and Sprague, loaded show on Thursday. We start next on 105.1 The Fan.
Network.
This might be what Mike McDaniel listens to on his way home tonight after he loses 37-10 on Thursday Night Football.
Anybody sneaking in an early Sprague in the line pick today? We lay in the big wood on a Thursday night game.
What is that number at right now?
12.5, I believe.
12.5.
Let me check it.
Yeah, let me double-check DraftKings.
There might be more Bills fans at this game. It's in Miami, right?
No, it's in Buffalo.
Oh,
It's
okay.
at
I read
home.
it wrong then.
12.5 right now.
Then there definitely will be more Bills
Yeah, I
fans.
think there's going to be a few more
Dolphins
Buffalo
fans
fans
this
there
game.
than there will be Dolphin fans.
The
I just,
over-under is 49.5.
They might score 49.5 on their own.
See, I want it to go that way.
Yeah, you do?
I don't want just some 30,
Miami needs a blow-up.
37-13. Well, okay, Buffalo handled them. Yeah. No, if you're gonna put the hammer down, let's go. Let's see 56-3.
Miami needs a blowout. They need to be blown out.
I think they need blown out, sure, because it would help with them blowing up. They need to blow up.
They need a full.
They're not going anywhere. They need to blow up.
They're very interesting. There was a story on The Athletic about them and how basically they're winning. They're not winning games, and that's the tough sell here. But they internally have understood they have to restart their culture. And so there's a story. It starts out with basically at a joint practice with the Bears. 2 Dolphins players start fighting each other. Normally you get a team fighting the other team.
Exactly.
It was 2 Dolphins players fighting each other. And according to this story, the coaching staff loved it because they were recognizing that they were weeding out the weak.
Right. Get the weak kids out of here.
Well,
we're tough.
In order to win games, you have to win the game.
That is true. You can't win the game to lose the game. You can't lose the game to win the game. You got to win the game to win the game.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa had a he famously had a really bad quote this week.
He did.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Be careful, dude. Don't want you to get fired today. And he went to the podium. He was asked about Josh Allen and the Bills, and he said this out loud.
He's top tier. You know, if it's not with his arm, it's with his legs. You know, that dude can do literally anything he wants. So definitely different skill set for me. I can't do half of what he does when it comes to running the ball and any of that. And then with how he can just chuck a ball down the field, you know, with how far and the arm strength that he has, you know, he's supreme when it comes to that. So it's going to be fun. Get to see him, get to play him again, and we'll see.
Do you know how much more money Josh Allen makes than Tua per year?
It's probably
on
like,
an annual salary basis.
Can't be it's like
not
$1 million.
Much.
2.
Yeah.
$55 million a year for Josh Allen, $53 million for Tua.
It's the most honest thing anybody's ever just said out loud, but also you can't be the one to say this.
That's an analyst comment that anybody in the media can make that because it's 100% accurate. You can't say that as the player. The follow-up for me would have been, well, if you can only do half the stuff he does, why are you making the same amount of money as him?
I mean,
if he's making 55, does that mean we should bump you down to about 28 a year? What do you think? Because if Tua's at $28 million a year, it's not a bad contract. But him making $53 million a year waiting for that next concussion to happen, I'm terrified.
Let me ask you this question. How bad do you think that Dolphins roster is?
Overall rosters are hard to gauge. I would say pretty bad.
Okay.
I would say pretty bad.
Bottom 10, certainly in the NFL. I don't know if when we get down to the bottom 5.
Okay, let me ask you a follow-up now. So you guys think bottom 10, overall awful. Now, I tell you, Josh Allen is a Dolphin quarterback, and they start this season. What's Miami's record right now?
I mean, they're probably the Colts could be a wagon. We might be learning that early in the season.
Josh Allen is a wagon.
I don't know.
Confirmed.
The Colts might be the best team in the NFL.
He's the best player
yet.
in the NFL right now.
I would care to bet on them or dare to bet on them being 2-0.
I would think they would have beaten for sure the Patriots.
So that roster is dog-s to you two, and
I mean,
this
this
is so good that they're 2-0. Which
I kind of think that the Bills don't have a terrible roster. That's unfair to them. It's not that bad, but there was this aspect last year going into the year. They traded the number 1 wide receiver. We debated that the entire offseason. Mm-hmm. How are the Bills going to survive without no more Stephon Diggs? How will they function?
It's weird. It's almost like somebody on the show said this was a great thing for them and it'd be okay.
He went on to win the MVP, and they were first down away from potentially winning the AFC Championship game. That's the difference of an elite quarterback can make with a roster that's like, I don't look at Buffalo's defense as a top 5 defense in the league. I don't look at them as a top 5.
Do you look at them as a top 10 unit?
Maybe, maybe.
I think the Raven thing is a little misleading. I think the Ravens doing what
That's
the
fair.
Ravens did is that's a juggernaut.
And the Ravens might do that to a lot of teams
Exactly.
this year. Yeah, that's a fair stance. But I don't view Buffalo as a team that you could rotate in and out different quarterbacks and still win.
Their defense is transitioning. I mean, they had, forever they had those veteran safeties back there, Poyer, and
he's back now.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's back in Buffalo now.
Rapp's there. I mean, he's been there for a minute. I mean, I hear your point, but I think my counter to that is, it might not be the best roster to everybody. I think people would look at Green Bay. People would look at Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philly's
people
the first
obviously
one
look
comes
at
up, yeah.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
You look at some other teams and say, better roster. But, man, you get to like the fourth, fifth. I don't know. Like, I think Josh Allen is deserving of all the credit, all the MVP stuff he gets. I also am not going to pretend that's a Miami Dolphin roster.
No, the roster is better than Miami's. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. They're not on equal footing when it comes to top to bottom, every position on the depth chart. And then they have a quarterback who's twice as good, according to the Miami Dolphins quarterback. So
good
luck tonight.
If I'm a Dolphin fan, I think this broke me. This comment broke me. McDaniel on the record has broken me, but I think that comment by my starting quarterback, it breaks me.
Not to mention the fact that he has a contract that pays him $53 million a year. He is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and that was
And they're stuck with that deal, man. Go look at it. You're not just moving on next year.
3 more years or something on it?
Yeah, I don't think they can get out of it until 2029.
They need to,
if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
unless you take on an insane amount of dead money.
We'll see
if they might be willing
Buffalo
to do.
completely breaks them and ruins them.
Crazy start to maybe just an all-time finish here. Mike McDaniel won 20 of his first 33 games.
They were a story early on. He was an offensive guru.
I mean, that was
They went to the playoffs. They had to play with Skylar Thompson, but they went to the playoffs, I want to say, in year 1.
Yeah.
And then the next year they went and played Kansas City in 4-degree weather.
8-degree weather, yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't go well for him because Tua can't throw a ball in the cold. And then this last year it kind of derailed on him.
You're right, but also I think we go look at the box score. I don't think the Chiefs were lighting up the scoreboard in that game.
Well, that was their run to the
freezing.
Super Bowl where they didn't do anything offensively. Yeah. They were carried largely by their defense, but nobody wanted to talk about that.
Remember when they did the team conga line because they dropped 70 on the Broncos?
I do. Yeah.
Talk about a diversion point of two franchises hey, this team that scored 70, they're going to hit the skid soon. This team that got 70 scored on them.
Buffalo score 70 tonight?
If they wanted to.
Yeah, short week, that's always hard. Like, how sharp are you going to be?
On this one.
You going to stay away? Too big of a spread?
I'll personally gamble on the Bills. I don't think I'm spreading the line on this one.
I have not decided yet. It's still being kicked around up top. We'll see what I got a couple hours here to make a call.
Does he get fired if they get blown out by 20 tonight?
I don't think 20 is enough. I think it needs to be a flat out utter embarrassment. Like if they like I said, if they lose 37-14,
I mean, but if you're just telling me you're waiting for the next 2 weeks to go bad, that's what I hate about the firing thing is like Bray's having this, right? Like, well, if he gets blown out, we'll see what happens with Houston. And then that turns into, we'll see what happens at State.
Right.
It's like,
how long do you kick the can down the road?
Yeah, this is ultimately not going to be good.
It should have happened after week 1, quite frankly, because that was. But if it's another one like that,
then you should have never kept him back.
I understand. Those are people that believe that too.
Man.
But I think it has to be gruesome for them to pull the trigger.
You want something that's really depressing? Although it is coming off of maybe the best sports weekend of the year, so it might not have hit that hard. Do you know who Monday Night Football is a week from Monday on September 29th?
There's a few primetime games that go ahead.
So not this coming Monday, but the week from Monday.
Yep.
The Monday Night Football game is the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins.
I would have been in the room and said, why are we doing this?
Who on either side is worthy of a Monday Night Football appearance? Please, name names.
I would have been like, I object, sir. And they would have been like, no, we need this game. This is what we need.
Got to have that New York media
to
market,
win
man.
games, you have to win the game.
We'll see if they can win the game tonight. Can't lose the game to win the game. You got to win the game to win the game.
Give me this, and then we'll go to the Magic Hat. What would the equivalent in this weekend's college football slate be if Miami won? What's the upset equivalent?
Oh, in terms of NFL standards?
Like of you being shocked. Miami wins tonight.
I'm shocked.
I will openly be shocked if they win.
Absolutely shocked.
You could use the Cougs beating the Huskies.
Apple Cup or Civil War would be 2 of them.
Oh,
Those are bigger upsets just because of the
Oregon State.
One's still those are two still NFL teams. Like we can make fun of Miami being bad. Those are still NFL players.
Sure.
I think the gap is much
The
more
Beavs
significant.
upsetting the Ducks would be even more shocking than Miami.
It'd be the
winning.
greatest upset in Oregon State history.
Yes. It would surpass
I'll
when
give you
they
this
beat
one.
the Huskies back in the 80s up in Seattle.
I'll give you two others. Michigan State beating USC Saturday night. They're nearly a 3-touchdown underdog. There's a gap between those rosters. It's not as big, I think, as Oregon and Oregon State, but it's a sizable gap.
Okay.
And then I also would kind of throw in, based on the last couple of weeks have gone, I'd throw Florida beating Miami and Miami on there. Like Miami finding a way to lose that
line's
game.
only 7.5.
It's only 7.5. That one would still be like, wait, what? He threw 5 picks. They lost to South Florida. How the hell did that happen?
We'll see what happens tonight, man. Bills, Dolphins, Thursday Night Football. Let's get to the Magic Hat next on The Fan.
This is a Rivalry Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk, brought to you by Roto-Rooter. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Good or bad weather, the golf course is always the driest around. Download the Langdon Farms app today. Get all the latest news and specials. First on The Fan, Week 3, the NFL season begins in Buffalo. The Bills look to go 3-0, hosting the 0-2 Dolphins, where a loss might trigger all sorts of chaos in Miami less than a month into the season. Kickoff at 5:15 on Prime Video. Bills 12.5-point favorites. Elsewhere in the NFL, encouraging news for 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. He was on the practice field Wednesday doing limited work. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said there's an outside chance he could play this Sunday against the Cardinals. In D.C., the Commanders received final approval for the RFK Stadium project to move the team back inside the district. The team plans to have the new stadium built in time for the 2030 season. Mariners Magic ran out in Kansas City Wednesday. Their 10-game winning streak came to an end in a 7-5 loss to the Royals. They're now a half game behind the Astros for the AL West lead. M's wrap up the series in KC today, 12:40 first pitch. A win will put them even with the Stros before heading to Houston for a weekend series. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Dirt and Sprague. Weekday morning, 6 to 10 a.m. The Network.
All right, let's get to the Magic Hat. It's the Magic Hat.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Bring it on. Basically, a bunch of topics, and we have no idea where the sports gods want us to go.
Okay.
Until Swag pulls it out of his Magic Hat.
Hocus pocus, where are you?
Now you see me. Now you don't.
It's simply what it is. It's magic. We don't know what's going to come out of this hat.
Where is that rabbit?
Abracadabra, MFers. Let's do the Magic Hat.
The only thing this hat's good for is the trash can.
All right, welcome back in. Dirt and Sprague with you on this Thursday, 105.1 The Fan and the Fan Sports Network. A Magic Hat Thursday, a Josh Pate Thursday, a Bill Riley Thursday, and a Big Pee-Pee Thursday.
Yes, it is.
Our B1G Pac-12 picks coming up, even though they're playing each other.
Only 2 games. Not a lot of room to make up ground this week. And will anybody take an underdog?
It's a conference showdown.
It is. It's a Big Ten and Pac-12 showdown this weekend.
Okay, let's get to the Magic Hat.
We begin with the sad high step.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how much time we need to spend on this. Have you So Dion, year one without Shador and Travis Hunter has been incredibly sad to watch. That team got absolutely annihilated by Houston last week.
They did,
on
yeah.
Friday. We
Actually,
don't talk about that.
I had them in my notes today because they changed their starting quarterback. Just do a year 3 check-in on Dion and how things are going.
So no Shador, right? So the quarterback has changed.
Yes.
So Dion's first year without Shador. It starts with, let's get Caden Salter from Liberty.
They were in the game against Georgia Tech. It was a back-and-forth game. They had a chance to win, came up just short.
Caden Salter doesn't play well in their next game, so they go to Julian Lewis during that game.
I believe that was against Delaware. They played an FCS team, and they put in the backup because it wasn't going great early, and then the backup played really well.
Then they went to the backup right. Because Salter started the game, so they went to Lewis. Then Lewis didn't play well, so they went to the third-string quarterback. Then the third-string quarterback started against Houston. He played pretty poorly. They went back to Salter. They're going to start Salter this weekend.
Yes, they are.
And they're 13-point home dogs to Wyoming.
Wait, what?
13-point home.
Or wait, no, 13-point favorite.
I was going to say, wait. I know things haven't gone great for Colorado. I don't know if they're a 2-touchdown underdog at home to Wyoming.
Pluses and minuses.
that happens sometimes from time to time.
No, 13-point home dogs, 7:15, 8:15 p.m. local start.
Yeah, I mean, it's a late game.
It's pretty awful.
To answer the question, though, of the Magic Hat segment, like things are going rough. And this is where I think a lot of us that questioned how long will this work or what is the, how long can he maintain this, are feeling a little vindicated right now. And it goes back to something we're talking about right now with another coach. Like Belichick's doing the same thing. Like if you don't live, breathe, and sleep recruiting in college football, you're not going to be able to patch holes in only the transfer portal every offseason. One of the biggest guys that they've signed, there was a video of him circulating. Jordan Seaton, I believe is his name. Remember he was that big offensive tackle, and he committed live on First Take. It was a big deal when they got him. It was, number one offensive tackle in the country good. And Oregon was one of his finalists. I remember watching the recruiting closely because of that. There was a video of him walking off the field against Houston. I didn't sign up for this. This sucks. We just got our ass worked at Houston.
Yeah.
On the road, we're 1-2. We might not go to a bowl game this year. And so now you start to fear the other side of it, a team that has poached a lot of players and got a lot of guys out of the portal. If this continues to hit the side of a mountain, which I think it might the rest of the year, how many relevant players are you going to lose in the transfer portal this offseason? If you don't take it seriously 365 days a year, and I know he's been through some health stuff, and so I'm sure it was not a fun offseason.
Recruiting-wise, it wasn't going well before
he
that.
He did that in the first 2 years. He said, I'm not doing in-home visits because I'm too big of a deal. I can't do an in-home visit because then the other kids will get upset and I don't go visit high schools. Okay. Your name recognition and your brand power will have an impact on a small number of guys, but in terms of out-recruiting the schools that you want to try and out-recruit, good luck, buddy. All those coaches are going to work harder than you.
All right, what's the next one?
His Valhalla.
Yeah, I wanted to play. I thought this was interesting. So something you're not watching and following in any possible way is the FIBA Europe basketball tournament?
No, I'm not following that at all.
Okay, so you haven't watched Denny Avdia.
I have not watched Denny Avdia.
Jokic.
No.
All the off-season hoops stuff we've had go on.
Was it Rangoon?
The NBA
there
season
from
goes on for
Houston?
too long to begin
Shangoon.
with. It's like I don't need off-season hoops when the season already lasts too long. The playoffs were like 7 months long. They just ended.
God forbid you care about basketball. Anyways, it's over, and Greece finished in third. They got the bronze in this thing.
Is that a big deal? Is that a little deal? Is that a surprise?
I'll let Giannis Antetokounmpo tell you
Team captain of
how
Greece.
big of a deal it is.
This is one of the biggest, probably accomplishment that I've ever accomplished as an athlete. I know I've won an NBA championship, but there's no feeling like representing your national team and representing 12 million people that breathe and live this national team. So this is probably the greatest accomplishment I've accomplished so far in my life.
Dude, he won an NBA championship, and he's telling you the bronze at a FIBA Euro basketball tournament.
not
is
the Olympics.
You're about to get freaky at night? You think about it.
biggest accomplishment of his career.
I take it then Greece has been really bad at basketball for a long time?
I mean, they're largely
okay.
not
So it's
great.
probably the first time that they've won a medal of some sort or gotten on the podium?
Well, they weren't picked to finish that high.
Okay.
He
So they
was
surprised?
unreal in this
I'm guessing
tournament.
he doesn't have quite as many resources to keep that thing. It's pretty much him and his brothers and whatever else.
Yes, Thanasis on the team? He's got to be.
I'm
right?
sure.
Yeah.
It's an NBA
He's
player.
also back to the Bucks.
Damn right he is. It's an NBA player right there.
You know, I'll say this. There's a lot of conversation, and has been for too long now, about patriotism.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the Giannis Antetokounmpo book by Miran Fader, and I would highly recommend it, I don't know if I've seen a better example of patriotism than him with Greece. And the reason I say that is because when you read the book, you discover that his family, who moved to Greece, he's born in Greece, he's lived in Greece, finds that they're so poor that him and his little brothers, they try to sell CDs on the streets just to make ends meet. And they largely, for most of their lives, are shouted out racist slurs at them all the time. When he was first trying to get in the NBA, Greece wanted nothing to do with him. Borderline didn't think he was a citizen, and then became an MVP. And now look, all of a sudden, who's embracing it?
Who's the face of the country?
And that would be the easiest moment of any human to go through all of that.
Turn around and give you the bird, say, screw you, I'm not claiming you now.
And say, I have no pride in being a countryman from your place. And instead, he's telling you, I just finished third in a basketball tournament that nobody cares about.
This is the biggest deal in
and
my
it's
career.
bigger than me winning an NBA championship, which is how we gauge most of these guys' careers in that sport. To me, I just like that. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You don't have to watch it. But to me, him saying that, knowing the backstory and his history of that country, it's remarkable.
Yeah, the fact that you could go that high when everybody went so low for your entire life.
Your entire country went low
Your
on
entire
you.
country went low on you, and you could still turn around and embrace them. I think these guys who get to play for their country, I can't even imagine the pride that you would feel doing something like that, so I totally get why it's a huge deal for them, and that's awesome. Giannis is easily one of the most likable athletes in all of professional sports, not just the NBA, and that's pretty powerful to say it's the biggest thing that's happened in your career.
More Magic Hat around the corner next on 105.1 The Fan.
Work.
Now you see me. Now you don't.
The only thing this hat's good for is the trash can.
All right, welcome back in. We got some local news we'll get to coming up at 7. A college football question. Should this be under more consideration in college football? I find a narrative very interesting because I don't know how many teams this works for. So we'll get to that at 7:15. It's going to be a short 7:30 because it's a Pate State University Thursday.
Yes.
But let's get back into the Magic Hat.
Will he or won't he?
This is a quick one, and I know how Dirt's going to react. So yesterday I was working out in Arnie's. That's my home gym.
Your home gym.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, greatest body of all time.
Arnold.
And I was following along. The Premier League is back.
I
have a team.
You have a Premier League team.
I got a team.
Get out of here.
I got a team. I'm going to follow a team.
There's no chance this happens.
I'm going to buy some gear from this team. I
setting
texted
myself.
Harris what team to pick. I said, who's the Carolina Panthers of the Premier League? I want a team that's not great, but I want a team that has a little bit of a good history.
Sure.
But nobody's thinking about them right now. And he gave me 4 options. And I chose one.
You chose a team?
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
You're a Nottingham Forest fan, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to check in on this in 6 weeks. I'm going to set a reminder on my phone.
Bet
Check
your
in on
ass you will.
what is Nottingham's record in
You're
6
definitely
weeks?
going to need the Peacock now.
Well, I've got the Peacock.
They play at like 5 o'clock in the morning on the weekend, right?
They
Isn't that
do.
basically it?
Well,
when
yesterday
kick
they
off?
were playing in the afternoon.
Oh, were they playing? They play
There were
weekday
matches
games?
going on.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's nighttime over there.
No, touche.
Night games.
Touche. You gotta have your weeknight game.
Early Sunday morning
Thursday
game.
night football, basically. Football, if you will. No chance this happens.
You think I'm going to stop it?
No chance.
Not a chance in hell.
Not a chance in hell. The Blazers tip off in a month, basically.
Yep.
The NBA is back in a month. You are a diehard NBA fan. You will be watching that. And NFL is every Sunday, Monday, Thursday.
Okay.
And then around Thanksgiving, more days, Christmas, you get that. College football's every week. No chance in hell.
Nottingham
They're
Forest.
right there with Man U in the table right
I'm just
now.
saying,
Oh,
like,
they got to check your tables going into the year.
they're not at the bottom, but they're kind of in that mid to, maybe moving up a little bit.
I mean, I'm happy for all the soccer pros. Did the season
you.
just kick off, I'm assuming?
About 4 games in.
Four
Yeah,
games
4
in?
games in.
Okay.
It started middle of August.
Happy European soccer.
Let's see who they
league
have.
to everybody. No chance you follow
Saturday?
this. 0.
Saturday, they get Burnley.
This is like me 10 years ago being like, you know what? I'm going to start getting into boxing, man. I want to be a boxing fan. I'm going to start following this.
Well, here you go. 7 a.m.
much
on the
boxing I watch.
Peacock.
Yep.
You don't have to suffer through college football pregame shows if you
I
don't
know,
want to.
dude. That's the thing is
And
I don't
you're
watch the
done-
pregame
You're done
shows.
at 9.
Yeah.
It's usually the time of the day, though, when you're getting stuff done. So now, before you sit on your couch and watch 10 hours of football, you want to sit on your couch and watch 2 hours of soccer?
Well, and I got a soccer match on Saturday, too, with the little one.
There's no chance you're going to watch
All right,
any
you
soccer.
doubt. You doubt.
I will doubt.
Okay.
I'm going to check on the
You
names
can hit
of...
me randomly with it.
Okay, random hit up on Nottingham Forest.
I'm trying to learn. You can quiz me on names. I might not nail that, but I will tell you where they're at, how they've been doing.
Do they have cool gear at least?
They actually do.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sick little tree
Well,
logo.
first thing we got to get you to do is say Nottingham.
Nottingham. Yeah.
There you
Nottingham
go.
Forest.
Not Nottingham.
Well, I mean, in America,
Nottingham.
I'm saying it the right way.
We live in America.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
All right.
Nottingham.
Speaking of that, still doubting?
Those actually are pretty cool jerseys.
Yeah, we got Ryder Cup tomorrow.
We do, yeah. The Ryder Cup tees off tomorrow. Talk
Right.
about things that I will be watching.
You guys still...
It actually doesn't tee off
no,
tomorrow. It
it's
tees off
next
a
week.
week from Friday.
Oh, I wrote that
Yeah,
wrong.
you're a week ahead.
Yeah, either way.
You said it, and I was like, yeah, it does. And I was like, wait a minute.
No,
No,
it
it's the same
doesn't.
weekend at Oregon Penn State.
Well, I wrote it yesterday, right? And then this morning we saw our good friend Terry Boyd at KGON, and he's talking to us and Dirt about stuff, and Dirt said tomorrow, and I was like, oh, okay, I was right.
Well, I knew it teed off on a Friday, and I just,
No,
it's
it's
early.
next week.
Dates
But
are all
you guys still
convoluted.
doubting? We have no chance?
I mean, no chance is too strong, but I am still doubting, yeah.
I'm going to bet America.
Go for it. You're not getting great odds there because they're the favorite.
Unfortunately, Scotty Scheffler can't play 2 matches in the same session because he's on fire. And
A lot of concern about Xander Schauffele right now.
People worried about the X-Man coming in.
The X-Man.
The X-Man's not going to bring it. The guy who stole Twitter's logo or X's logo.
Well, the other problem is Bryson going to play in alternate shots because who can play with him?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in alternate shot matches.
I wouldn't want to
So
deal
you
with
guys
him.
are doubting?
I absolutely am doubting,
It's
yeah.
far more difficult for Keegan than it is for
right.
Luke Donald,
But
who's got 11 of the 12 dudes that he had last time when they won.
When was the last time the road team won?
I think it was Europe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
See if I can find that. That's the main thing you got going in the favor of the Americans is that, 2012 is the last time Team Europe won on the road. So America hasn't won in Europe in forever, and Europe hasn't won in America since 20. It's been over a decade. So that's the biggest argument you have for Team USA and betting them.
Last one.
Jim Harbaugh's pants.
So we're not going to have enough time for this, but I am telling you, if you read anything or take anything away from today's show,
I want to talk about his pants.
That's my guy.
Please try to go read this Jim Harbaugh story on The Athletic. It's basically like 7 writers who just share all of these Jim Harbaugh is as authentic as it comes. He is who he is.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody. And it's all these writers sharing different experiences they've had with him. One story, for example, is when he was the Niners coach. They were in a hotel. They were all eating. All of a sudden, offensive lineman Adam Snyder feels choking. And he's like, can't breathe. He can't even drink water. And his teammates are, and then there's a big commotion.
He's freaking out, yeah.
They reportedly say Harbaugh stands up, throws his chair out, pushes through everybody, gets up to Snyder, and punches his back so hard that one guy said I could hear it from across the room. Snyder then just goes, chokes it out, spits it, and Harbaugh just casually went back to his table, grabbed his chair, sat down, started eating, and brought the conversation back to where it was when he left. Didn't even acknowledge what he did.
That sounds exactly like Jim Harbaugh.
He had another one that I'll share here where he was he went to Europe. They went to Europe. They went to Rome with Michigan.
Yeah, I remember that with Michigan.
Said he doesn't wait in lines. He will always cut lines and find ways to get in front of people in lines. He doesn't believe in lines. And he basically, on the flight to Rome, didn't sleep a single minute, stayed awake the entire time, got off. The writer that went with them on the trip was noting this. And he's like, yeah, man, I thought for sure. They got there in the early morning. Everybody else went and crashed at the hotel for a few hours. Not Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's in Rome, baby.
He's one of one. I'm going to keep going.
Need some pasta and a glass of
He's
wine.
already in a victory.
Dude, he just started walking around Rome. He's looking around. He then wakes his team up. They then go on a big excursion. All the Europeans see this team have no idea who he is or who they are. They assume they're a soccer club. So he leans into it. He's like, yeah. Oh, yeah, we play football. He met the Pope. Yeah. It was the greatest moment of his life.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool moment for a Harbaugh.
But the writer just acknowledges it was like, I think he said it was 20 straight hours of just uninterrupted Harbaugh. Not a single ounce of sleep for
He's
him.
one of my favorite characters in the history of sports, and you don't need any more evidence than the videos that they release after they win a game, and one of the first things that he makes his team do is walk around and give everybody a high five. High fives. You go give a high five. And they all walk around and high five each other in the locker room before he starts his pregame speech or his postgame speech.
He also stood next to too close to a heating fan, when they was on the sidelines when it's really cold.
Right.
And he had just switched from his traditional khaki to blue Lululemon. And so he's famously giving a speech. He's too close to the flame.
Oh, he caught on fire.
And somebody turns to him from a local TV station and points out, hey, Coach, your pants are on fire. He points at, he puts out the fire, and he turns and he goes, ah, man, these are expensive pants.
That they are. Lululemon
Didn't even
pants
care
are
that he was
expensive.
on fire.
Yeah, those are expensive pants. You don't want those things to burn up. Did you ever buy a pair of Lululemon pants?
I haven't actually.
They add up
no.
quickly. It's very expensive.
It's just a great Jim Harbaugh piece. It really is. There's a story of Bruce Feldman had gone to go visit him because he knew Tom Crean. He wrote a recruiting book. And Tom Crean says, you need to go talk to my brother-in-law, Jim Harbaugh. So he puts him in touch. He goes to Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh goes, who are you? And he goes, well, I was here sent by Tom Crean. Feldman says Harbaugh gave him a look as if he had never heard his name in his life. He said he saw Jim Harbaugh only one time at his journey at Stanford. And it was when Bruce Feldman was wandering around. Harbaugh came up to him and goes, hey, man, if you're interested, we got a lot of peanut butter. And he walked away. That's all he said.
I mean, I want people to tell me when there's peanut butter around. That's my kind of guy right there.
You got
a lot of peanut butter in the kitchen? Let's go. I'm going to go make a sandwich, dip some apples in it. I'm feeling good.
I just will always read a Jim Harbaugh story.
Every time, dude. He is one of the most unique characters we've ever had. And I think in an era in which a lot of people pretend to be something that they're not, that's always been the main calling card of Jim Harbaugh. He is weird. He is strange. He is odd, whatever descriptor you want to use, but he is himself.
Last one, and we're against it. I know. I'm sorry, Swag. They got off the bus in high school for a basketball game. the opposing fan bases were rabid. Guy says in retelling the story, I got off the bus and felt like I was going to piss my pants. And then Jim came behind me and started laughing loudly at them. And that was all he did.
Just laugh and walk away.
Ended up getting in a fight in the gym.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the second hour. Good local story or not so great local story? Hour 2, Dirt and Sprague on the Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, many expect a bloodbath in Buffalo tonight. The Bills 12.5-point favorites over the winless Dolphins, who were mired in controversy. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. Elsewhere in the NFL, things looking up for the 49ers. Quarterback Brock Purdy on the practice field Wednesday doing limited work. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said there's an outside chance he could play this Sunday against the Cardinals. In D.C., the Commanders got their final approval to start the RFK Stadium project. They will move the team back inside the district with plans to be in the new stadium in time for the 2030 season. Mariners Magic ran out in Kansas City on Wednesday. Their 10-game winning streak came to an end with a 7-5 loss to the Royals. It dropped them a half game behind the Astros for the AL West lead. M's wrapping things up in KC today at 12:40. With a victory, they will head to Houston for a weekend series in a dead heat. with the Stros. And the Cubs became the third team in the National League to clinch a playoff spot with an 8-4 win over the Pirates, Chicago's first trip to the postseason since 2020. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Park, 105.1 FM, 1080 AM, and the Odyssey app.
All right, welcome back in the second hour. Dirt and Sprague here on 105.1 The Fan Sports Network. A little late, a little over the clock there. We apologize for running late on the Magic Hat. The damn Magic Hat, man.
It'll get to you sometimes. Jim Harbaugh stories will do it to you.
There's more juice in there too. I omitted some of the stories.
I could listen to Jim Harbaugh stories for 4 hours. He's that interesting of a person.
A lot to get to here in the second hour of the program. We will have Josh Pate join us at 7:40.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into some college football chatter with Pate State University. There was a local, we're going to start with a local story, but there's another local story that kind of flying under the radar of just like, oh, that happened. Okay. And then why is this the right narrative about this team at this point of the college football season? We'll get to that coming up. But we start the second hour. It is rivalry weekend, as you've heard, in all the opens of all the shows.
Yes, it is. The traditional Civil War weekend. Oh, wait. No, it's not.
Well, I mean, it's just both rivalry games. One might be closer than the other, I guess, in points in that matter. But, like, both are kind of coming in with zero juice and totally flat, given what the Cougs just did against North Texas.
Yes.
And what Oregon State just did at Texas Tech.
Last year, at least, you had a little bit going in because, remember, Oregon had been really bad in their first two games, and Oregon State was 2-0. So the thought was, like, is this actually going to be a game? It didn't end up being one, but at least going into it, we had that talking point. And then the Cougs and the Huskies were playing in Seattle, and he had Fish in his first year, and they, we weren't quite sure.
The tier was good.
The tier was good, and so there was a lot more juice, I would say, going into the games last year. And one of them ended up being a phenomenal football game.
A great football game that had Washington State beating Washington.
They just won it last year.
Doesn't feel that way this year.
No.
I tend to lean that Washington is going to house them. They were a drive away from losing to Idaho, but they beat San Diego State, so we kind of thought something different of them. Oregon State. This came from the Oregonian, OregonLive.com. Our friend Bill Oram, the first to report it, that Oregon State did agree to continue the rivalry starting back up in 2027, and it will run through at least 2032. Now, here is, Scott Barnes saying, I listen to the fans, and I hear you, and I hear you. Like, you have shown zero indication you're hearing anything outside of cha-ching, the paycheck is cashed.
And I wonder what is the paycheck. Is there any? I didn't see the details on how much is going one way or the other.
That's what I don't know.
Okay.
I
didn't know if anybody
I was
had that
reporting
reporting.
was his individual
Oh, for sure, yes.
because he doesn't listen to anybody.
No, his check clears every 2 weeks.
He still thinks Trent Bray is the guy. I mean, are you watching football? Are you watching the games? Okay. But the rivalry is going to kick back up after next year.
Yeah.
So they'll take a year off, first time in 80 years, and then they'll pick it back up in 2027, starting in Eugene. And as many Beaver fans noted, thanks for listening to us, Scott Barnes. We don't get the game at home until 2028.
Yeah, you get back-to-back games in Eugene. You really won that negotiation down there in Corvallis. Now, Oregon's side of this is simply that they, in odd years, they only play 4 conference games at home. And so they were saying, if you want to start this and play in 2027, we have to play it in Eugene because we have to play 7 home games in order to make the money that we need to make for the year. And in 2028, we can go on the road because we get 5 home conference games, and so we can play 2 non-conference games at home and have 1 be on the road. And that's where I just didn't quite get it from Oregon State side of. If that was the stance from Oregon, Why wouldn't you just say, okay, let's start the series in 2028 to get a small moral victory? Just a little bit. People still don't want the game to happen. I think the majority of your fan base is done with it, and I don't blame you at all. And my take on it the entire time has been whatever Oregon State wants to do, I'm cool with. If you guys want to cancel the game, cancel the game. I get nothing out of it anymore and won't get anything out of it likely this weekend.
You get a free dub. You get the in-state bragging rights.
Yeah, I'm not one of those Duck fans that enjoys the punching down and making fun of Oregon State for what has transpired to them. I don't get anything out of that. I have a lot of friends and family, and I work with somebody who is a Beaver fan. I work with two people who are Beaver fans, and none of this has been enjoyable for me to see what has happened to their program. That was the epitome of Scott Barnes not reading the room. So if Oregon's coming to the table and saying, we want to play the game, but if you want to play in 2027, it's got to be at Autzen, why isn't the simple counter negotiation just to be like, okay, let's start the game in 2028 then? That way, the last game that was played would be this year in Eugene, and then the next time the Civil War restarts is in 2028 in Corvallis, and you don't have back-to-back games that are happening in Eugene.
So you can watch the show on YouTube. You can chime in at the fan text line 503-864-6326. And if this has come out and we're just missing it, please let us know. Like, text police, be on alert here. My only counter is there has to be money involved, right?
I would tend to think so,
because
but
Oregon
I don't know.
State is signing up to get their ass kicked.
If Oregon's going to Corvallis,
free?
I don't know. Is Oregon going to pay to go play a road non-conference game in Corvallis? I don't think you're getting money for that game. You might get a paycheck for coming to Eugene.
Well, that's what I'm saying is did he hear? Because to me, look, I'm not sourcing this out by reporting. I'm just giving an opinion.
Yeah.
I took his supporting Trent Bray comments as we're cheap. So, like, the bragging of the war chest means nothing to me as of right now.
Right. What are we doing with the war chest? Where's that going? Is that
well,
just
you got to
sitting in an
preserve
account
it,
somewhere?
Andy. You got to preserve it.
Yeah, you got to.
And maybe he'll end up being the AD who does the classic, support the guy publicly, and then fire him in a week or two.
Yeah, there's the idea of what else is he supposed to say publicly. You know, we're starting to question our head coach.
Yeah, well, the biggest red flag of that was talking publicly because he was never going to come out and not support him. So what do? You don't talk.
Yeah. Just don't do an interview.
You stay silent and you wait to see what happens in a quote-unquote rivalry game. So to me, it smells, you could say, well, why didn't you wait out for 2028? It smells like money, but again, if it comes out that they're not getting any money and they're just signing up for 2027 to get it back for the sake of having it back, then okay, then that's that. But I don't know. It's
I think the question would be like for Oregon State fan, because again, I think this debate should be on your side of this and not mine at all. Like this should all be determined by Oregon State. They're the ones that got screwed over here.
Well, I don't think that's accurate. I think Oregon is sitting they're sitting on the perch and they're in a position where they can say like who we play matters to people, right? So like we can choose to play Oregon State for the sake of saying we're preserving it. We care about the rivalry. That's a public win for them. They also could look at it secretly behind the scenes of like, yeah, it's a win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly how they view it.
Versus they could also say no to this and say, let's schedule a better game. And they
well,
didn't.
Again, I think you're giving them I think Oregon is getting the absolute win here because they are in a conference now that's going to force them to travel a ton. Dan Lanning highlighted that, and I was surprised he said it on Monday at his press conference where he was asked about continuing the rivalry, and he basically said, it's nice to have a game that's right down the road. And we got to fly to Rutgers for a conference game this year. We just had to go to Chicago for our first Big Ten game. So, yeah, having a non-conference game that's on the road, that's a 40-minute bus ride to get there, is a pretty nice thing for us to be able to do. I think the question I would have for Oregon State fan, and maybe the answer isn't known amongst the fan base right now, in the future, what do you want the non-conference to look like? Because I think there's different roads that you can kind of go down, and they've clearly picked the road that they want. They want to play Oregon every year if they can.
Easy answer.
Do you want 3 patsies for 3 automatic wins? Do you want a massive paycheck in terms of like, let's go on the road and play Ohio State, Alabama, and play one of these non-conference games on the road to get a paycheck?
Well, you would only have 2 because this is your non-conference.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying not having this being decided. Like if you were Scott Barnes, what would you want the non-conference to look like? If you're taking Oregon off the board.
Sure.
Or maybe some fans want Oregon on the board and then 2 patsies along with it and try and get 2 wins, and then you play Oregon every year to keep the rivalry alive.
Well, I think until they relieve Bray of the job, he's the guy, right? So, like, as long as he's in charge, I would just say whether it's Bray or it's another coach, it's the easiest answer. It should be 3 patsies.
3 patsies.
You should be doing everything you possibly can to get yourself to halfway of a bowl.
I tend to agree with that.
And then if it's Bray, and boy, we'll be eating a lot of crow if it's Bray, but if it's another person, and you do build this up and you find some success in a turnaround in the Pac-12, the new Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I know I've used them too much, so I apologize for that. Then I think you go Tulane. We have established something. We're good. We're getting good players. We can play Duke and whoop their ass. And I think until you get to that point, it should be automatically 3 patsies. And then if you ever get to a point back to where you were with Jonathan Smith at the peak, yeah, go schedule Minnesota. Go schedule Kentucky.
Sure.
Go get a
Northwestern. Winnable Power 4
and
game.
you can say those are patsies too. Yeah, but they're in the Big Ten.
It's
they're
a
in
power
the ACC,
conference team,
yeah. Go get one because you know what? Tulane beat Duke, and maybe Duke won't be that amazing. We're going to look back and say, well, they got a Power 4 win. And,
it looks good on your resume at the end of the year.
And they won their conference, and here we go, playoff.
Florida might suck, but South Florida getting that win was a big deal for them.
Because they lost to Miami, and
Right.
it doesn't matter because South Florida won in week 1 against a ranked Boise team, at least a Boise team that has respect to people.
And then Florida was ranked
and
too.
they beat Florida in the swamp, and even if Florida is 7-5 or 6-6, they're still going to get that's an SEC road win.
Yeah.
You're doing everything you can to preserve a great record and to put yourself in the best possible place with your new situation, and that is, can we be the group of 6 playoff representative? So the easiest answer is it should be 3 patsies, but they have now signed up for just 2 options, 2 available options.
Well, it should be more than that, right?
patsies.
Because I think you'll be able to, if I'm not wrong, there's 9 teams in the new Pac-12 iteration, 9 football teams.
I think it's 8.
Is it 8?
Swag, can you? Oh God, I can't.
I mean, what's our number for Pac-12 football teams?
I thought they just got to 8. With
It's 8.
Texas
So
State.
you're only going to play 7 conference games. So you're going to have 5 non-conference
Okay.
games every year.
So you should have more patsies.
which is insane. And maybe that changes involved. I'm sure they're eventually going to add more teams down the road.
They're playing Washington State twice this year.
Well, yeah. And so you'll have 7 and 5. So you'll still have the ability to go schedule some patsies in non-conference or maybe go get paydays. And maybe the answer is they want to be somewhere in the middle of this.
Right.
Everything about this week sucks. I'm getting nothing out of it. I know we sold it, and there's that rah-rah. For anybody who grew up in the state, especially in our era.
I don't think there's rah-rah this week.
No, I don't think there's any. To me, if you're Swag's age, you remember when both programs were nothing, and you remember toilet bowls and nothing games. If you're more our age, the Civil War was one of the biggest rivalry games in college football, it felt like, for a decade. It was truly back and forth. You had years where they came in preseason ranked number 1.
It was.
In our bubble, from that 2000
sure, yes.
when I turned 11 years old to 2009, every single year, not every game was great. Some of them were blowouts one way or the other. Joey threw 5 picks. There's a game in the fog.
But it was the home team.
But it was the home team that was winning every year, and seemingly you had Oregon go to a Fiesta Bowl. You had Oregon State go to a Fiesta Bowl. You had games where Oregon State was playing to go to the Rose Bowl. You had the winner going to the Rose Bowl in 2009. It was one of the best and most competitive rivalries that ever existed in college football. It felt like for a 10-year span where at moments it felt like the eyes of the college football world were on our little state and our little game at the end of the year.
For sure.
And it felt great. And now to try and keep going in September when the game's not in November and you're not going to go back to traditionally when it was played and you're playing back-to-back games now in Eugene, even as a Duck, I get nothing out of them killing Oregon State this weekend. There's no pridefulness. There's no, that's awesome. I mean, my mindset is kind of shifted to we're playing Penn State next weekend already.
Yeah.
And let's get out of this game healthy. I don't really care what the final score is. Next weekend is a massive game that I can't wait for. But all of it is it's genuinely sad with everything that's happened around it.
I want to ask this question, then we'll go to break here because we're already against it. Oregon State's through 2032 with Oregon. It's looking out ahead, and we have so many unknowns that we can't answer here. That's so far away in that sport.
A very long ways away.
Do you look at that game and say 2032, they get to a point within that time frame where this is like a 10-point difference? Can they get back to ever making this a game in that window? Talk a little bit about that. And one team to keep an eye on of why is this still a narrative for them? That's next on The Fan. All right, poll question is up at Dirt and Sprague. That's the show Twitter account. Oregon and Oregon State have agreed to pick this Civil War back up in 2027, and will go to at least 2032. Within that time, will Oregon State make that game competitive again? Yes or no at Dirt and Sprague?
It's a long ways off, man. It's a long ways off.
It is.
I don't.
That could be year 2032. Could be year 3 for Dan Lanning at Alabama.
Very well could be. It could be year 3 for him as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody has any clue how this is all going to play out, right?
Remarkable.
So, yeah, I mean, the idea that Oregon State can never make it competitive again is ridiculous. Of course they can. Of course there will be years. Oregon will always dominate the rivalry, and they largely did for the last 25 years.
No doubt.
Like, you had that back and forth in the early 2000s where the home team won every year, and then once 2009 hit, it's been an incredibly one-sided rivalry for a very long time, and that's why 2016 was a big deal when Gary Anderson said, "Go Beavs, how about that?"
Yeah, but that was
4-8 Beavs won.
Hey, they're both 4-8.
Sure, I'm not saying it was something, but I'm just like, that ended the streak. I think Oregon had won 8 in a row or 7 in a row or whatever the number was at that point, and then Oregon bounced back with a few more wins, and then Oregon State got them in the COVID year, and then they won in year 1 under Lanning with their 19 straight runs. But the game has largely been dominated by Oregon, and it will continue to do so. I would argue probably more so than it had been, but the idea that Oregon State can never make this game competitive, I have no clue what the Oregon State program is going to look like,
I know.
what their conference looks like, who their head coach is going to be. Like Washington State last year, and I get it, they're in very different situations. Washington State won the Apple Cup last year. After getting relegated out of their conference because Washington's head coach left, they brought in Jed Fish, and they didn't have a great season in year 1 under a new head coach. So, yes, that possibility exists that it could happen to Oregon in a year in which Oregon State maybe has their guy and they figured it out and they're a 9-win team that season and Oregon's replacing a head coach. Of course the possibility exists that this could be a close game again.
Somebody says, I'm a Duck grad, somewhere in between y'all in age, so my Civil War memory begins somewhere in the late 80s. As crazy as it sounds, I bet OSU pulls off... sorry, these texts. One
together.
of these basically pulls off an upset one of these years.
Yeah.
2032 just being so far. So you'd vote yes on that just because of the time?
I would, just because it's 7 years from now. Like,
know,
if Dan
it's
Lanning's
insane.
still at Oregon and they're humming, then no, I don't think Oregon State's going to be competitive or win one of these games. Is he going to be here in 7 years? Is he still going to be the Oregon head coach? Or I have no clue what the future looks like. So it's very hard, but I would, just based on the possibility of it happening, you have to say yes.
I see. I vote yes. I vote yes because I want to say at some point Oregon State wakes up and realizes their football program and their athletic department matters.
Maybe the president should care about sports and the
but she
athletic
publicly
director
does.
yeah.
She does interviews and tells you how
She
great
does.
it all is.
She'll go on the CW and then give Scott Barnes an award the week after losing 45-14 to
Well, he's the
Texas
Beaver
Tech.
champion, don't you know?
He is the Beaver champion.
Come
that
on.
he is. How do you not give the Beaver champion the Beaver champion award? He's got to win an award. For what? I don't know. Got to give him an award.
The champion of Beavers.
That's exactly what he is. I was scrolling through the text line in commercial break, and the majority of Oregon State fan, I think Oregon fan is largely indifferent on this. If you put up a poll question and say, do you want to keep playing the game? They'll say yes. Let's keep the nostalgia alive, and it's an automatic win in the minds of most Oregon fans, which is, again, why I go back to I think this should be decided on Oregon State's side. And this feels like, look, again, maybe this ends up aging well for Oregon State, and they make the ride higher, and Dan Lanning leaves, and in 2028 they get the game back in Corvallis, and they win, and we laugh about how nobody wanted to play this game again. This seemed like it was an opportunity for a nice little PR win for Barnes, of saying, you know what, no. Not on your terms. You guys left us. We need to chart our own path. Let's come up with different, unique ways to schedule, and we'll go get a paycheck at Alabama if we need to go get a paycheck and get our asses kicked. But I think this could have been a moment for the fan base to come together and say, you know what, Barnes, finally, thank you for listening, because almost every single comment we're getting from Oregon State side of this is they want nothing to do with the game anymore.
Well, much like Scott Barnes for me, you can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Stream your local NFL game live every Sunday all season long, starting at just $30 for your first year. That's like $2.50 a month. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started. You know what? I know he's not watching Oregon State. Like, he probably saw a little bit of the Texas Tech game, our buddy Josh Pate.
Yeah.
I want to get his read on teams in this situation.
I'm going to ask Bill Riley about this because they had this with Utah State. The Utah State, Utah and Utah State played every year. And then Utah left the Mountain West.
Well, didn't Utah and BYU go through a few years where
They absolutely
disappeared
did,
and then
they
came back?
Yeah.
And
now they're both in the Big 12 again, so they're going to play again. I think it's a protected rivalry in that conference, but this has happened many a time.
maybe it's a better question for Bill because he's the play-by-play guy of a program who's gone through this in two different.
And now
versions
Utah
of it.
State is
Yeah.
back in a more
Pac-12,
respected conference, I would say, than what the Mountain West was. It's a
Right.
better version of it. And they've played a couple of times in the last handful of years, but after 2012, I think was the last time it ended as a year in and year out thing, and they've only played twice since then.
He says OSU fans and their entire program has loser energy.
I mean, I would too, dude. Like if I got
That'd be
kicked to
pretty
the
hard
curb,
not
like
to.
this is the part of stuff. Like I
don't think all
I
the
can't
OSU
stand
fans
people
do.
in my fan base when they do stuff like this, and I see a lot of it online.
Well, I think that person is more reacting to some social media stuff, and I would say
Sure.
most OSU fans are ticked off, pissed, and want change.
Yes.
They want this athletic department to care and progress forward.
Like I think there's this idea
they're
of
not.
from some Beaver fans as if they have been a great program for a long time and look what you took away from us, and that's not true. There's been a lot of really bad years that have happened in that football program, but imagine being a fan of a team that had just won 10 games, had an alma mater, an alumnus as their head coach in Jonathan Smith. They had just refinished half of their stadium, and right after you win 10 games and feel like you're finally on firm footing for the first time since when as a program? How long it had been since, maybe one of the peak years under Riley in like 2010. That's how long it had been. And then everything gets pulled out from underneath you. Like, I don't blame Oregon State fan at all for feeling the way that they feel and being as angry as they are.
Short segment's going to follow, and then Josh Pate, Pate State University, next on The Fan.
This is a Rivalry Week edition of Dirt and Sprague, brought to you by Roto-Rooter. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Next plates like Grandma used to make if your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on The Fan, Week 3 of the NFL slate begins in Buffalo. The Bills trying to go 3-0, hosting the 0-2 Dolphins. Buffalo 12.5-point favorites, 5:15 kick on Prime Video. Injury update from the NFL. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy was on the practice field Wednesday doing limited work. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said there's an outside chance he could play this Sunday against the Cardinals. The final approval for the Commanders was given earlier this week. The RFK Stadium project now has a green light to go. Team wants to have that new stadium ready for the 2030 season. Mariners winning streak coming to an end in Kansas City on Wednesday. 7-5 loss there, drops them a half game behind the Astros in the AL West race. They'll wrap up the series today at 12:40, where a win puts them even with the Idle Stros before they go to Houston for a weekend series. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the Network.
All right, Pate State University is going to hop on in a second. I have a question for you that you don't have enough time to dive into, unfortunately.
You want to give it to me and let it marinate for a little bit?
Well, I actually, I've wanted to talk about this all week. I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm not saying they're not good. I've seen evidence that they can compete with good teams.
Oh.
Is it not odd to you or anybody else watching college football that a team is talked about and so highly thought of sitting at 0-2? Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And like you can say, well, Sprague.
They played 2 tough teams.
Okay.
And lost by 4 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those was at home.
One of them was at home.
Yeah.
Very well was.
Okay. All right.
So what's the thought? You don't think they should be ranked in the top 25?
I don't even know. If you pressed me and said most 25 most talented rosters, I wouldn't argue Notre Dame isn't.
Their defense is supposed to be really good, and that has not been the case through their first 2 games. That was their
they
calling
got
card coming into
last
the
weekend.
year. Marcel Reed torched them.
I just find it odd that I'm looking at an 0-2
team in the top 25.
and they're being talked about like they're still one of the top blank teams in college football.
Notre Dame's probably going to do it again. Just watch. Last year they lost to, I always get it wrong. Was it Ball State that beat them? Northern Illinois. Well, I don't know why I always say Ball State. Northern Illinois got them by a field goal, and we all made
ball sacked.
Yeah, and then we all laughed at them and said, ha, 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 there goes Notre Dame, and then they rattled off every game the rest of the way and played in the national championship game. So I'm going to laugh if that ends up happening at the end of the year. I don't think they're as good this year, though, as they were last year, primarily because their quarterback play isn't quite what it was. CJ Carr could get better. He's young. He shows flashes, but he's also a freshman, and he's going to make mistakes.
It's not Notre Dame because you're a Rudy fan. Who is the program? If they were sitting 0-2, this would piss you off that they're still being talked about like this.
Oh, God, that's too... I
It'd
can't
be
have
like
enough
Penn
time.
State.
Yeah, Penn State being 0-2 would be a problem. But if they were 0-2, nobody would talk about them because they would have lost to Villanova and FIU or whoever they've played right out of the gate.
In this scenario, they had lost to 2 great teams.
Yeah.
Josh Pate, Pate State University, joins us every Thursday at 7:40. He hops on next on 105.1 The Fan.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up?
Woo! Do not go in there.
A sports lowlight, ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainshomservices.com.
Here's Sabali. Pull-up 3 is good. Santu Sabali, a big bounce-back performance in Game 2, and Phoenix is pouring it on.
Woo, the Mercury just running up the score on the old Liberty Biberty yesterday, winning by 26, going to a Game 3.
Little duck-on-duck crime right there, huh? Rough night for Sabrina, I saw. Was she 3 of 13? Tough night for my gal, Ionescu.
Not great, Bob.
Not great. They'll be okay, though. I think they're still going to win the series.
Hell of a comeback by those Lynx, though, in that fourth quarter, too.
Dude, couldn't believe it. I was shocked at the end of that game.
Good atmosphere at Golden State. The Valkyrie got good fans. Who's stinking it up? The Liberty yesterday against the Mercury, brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. They're offering a biggest sale of the year limited time deal. How about this? Buy and install a new air conditioner, and Three Mountains will give you a brand new furnace absolutely free. Here's more info with this offer to save you thousands. Hey. All right, welcome back in. 7:41. It's a Thursday. Looking at my clock. Yep, indeed. Looking at my Gucci. It's about that time. Josh Pate College Football Show on Twitter at Josh Pate CFB joins us every Thursday at 7:40 to talk all things college football. Good morning, Josh. If you were to wager a month's paycheck on one team to win the national championship right at this moment, who are you laying it down on?
That's not bad feedback. That's me making a weird noise with my mouth. I can't answer Miami because that's Mario, and no one wants to hear that up there. I can answer Ohio State, but that's a conference opponent. And by the way, what I'm doing here is pandering. I don't actually want to give you an honest answer. I just want to score points. So, hey, I got one. Oregon.
Hey,
wow,
there you go.
That's weird.
You know, you subscribe to a show on YouTube. It's easy. All you got to do is click the button. It's very simple. You can hear these kind of takes every night.
It sounds like, based on what I'm hearing from you, because like all jokes aside, people that are up here with Mario, I think they would just say they don't trust his clock management, or there's something in his coaching in game that would lead them to that. It sounds like you actually really do think that team could be built to do it, though. All jokes aside.
Oh, dude, they're good. They're good now. They're not. I'm going to hesitate to say this, so I'm going to say it, but in lowercase. Pretend I'm saying this in pencil. They don't have many weaknesses. Now, why I say that in lowercase is we've only seen a couple of games, 3 games or whatever, and they haven't faced really a passing game that can fully test their secondary. So we could have still a pretty flawed secondary that just hasn't been exposed yet. There could be that crack in the dam. We just haven't gotten the water pressure, my favorite metaphor. But they've got a great offensive line. They got a great stable of tailbacks. They ended up hitting a grand slam with Carson Beck at quarterback. They lost their top 6 dozen or half dozen pass catchers, and they seem upgraded somehow. I don't know how you do that. Well, yeah, I do. The portal is how you do that. And they went and got Corey Heatherman as their defensive coordinator, and at the very least, their defensive production looks significantly improved. The best compliment I could give is you don't need to look at their stats. If you just go pop on a condensed game, just watch how hard they play. They may not always be in the right place. They are hair on fire every play, wire to wire, and I trust that at least the floor of that defense is going to be good enough. It could be great, by the way. I'm trying to be conservative on this. It could be really good. I just don't want to get hurt. You know I don't want to get hurt.
Well, we all know it's not your fault if they don't do it, right? It's it's
their
the player's fault.
yeah.
It's Mario's fault. But, we know where to share the blame here. I do credit you, too, because there is interest in that game in Miami this weekend. Is Lagway going to throw 5 picks again? Does Napier get turfed in Miami, or before jumping on the plane again? But I think you're making the right call in where you're going this weekend. Now, I have, a lot of family in the Omaha, Nebraska area. I've had the chance to go to a few Nebraska games in my life. We were there when Oregon and Nebraska played. I want to say that was 2016. One of the greatest stadiums. Where's the excitement level for Nebraska, Michigan, and checking a new stadium off of the list this weekend?
It's a 10 because like you said, I've never been there, and I've been to I think I've been to every other place that would be quote unquote bucket list ish, except this one. I haven't been to this one, so we got that going on. Going up there with Compton and Lewan, so we got the whole bus and bowl angle going on with Michigan and Nebraska. We've got a CBS game, so I get to see a lot of my former employees, some of whom I miss, others of whom just exist, and so I'm looking forward to that. And I am also, I love the professionalism, and I am also looking forward to this whole concept that I have bought into. It's not, therefore it's not propaganda. It has to be fact because I bought into it, and that is year 3 Matt Rule is just this scientific thing wherein great things happen. And if that is true, then it will start to happen this Saturday. So I have predicted a Nebraska win. I'm going to be there. I was there when Tennessee took down Alabama, and I've never witnessed euphoria like that. The literal show called Euphoria on HBO Max was not as incredible as the euphoric nature of Tennessee taking down Alabama. And I don't recommend either of you watch that show because you'll lose faith in the youth of America, but I did watch it just so I could have a comparative analysis ready. I think if Nebraska beats Michigan, it will match the euphoria that Tennessee had when they were beating Alabama because these people have been through it. I talk about them like they're a tribe out on an island somewhere. These people have been through it, and they've had the close loss, the one possession game stat for a number of years, and they had the Mike Riley era and the tail end of the Bo Pelini era, and just a lot of forgettable eras. The whole Nebraska Eras tour is one to forget. If they can get this one, they don't lock up anything, of course, but I think it is a giant psychological hurdle cleared. And so when I tell you it's a 10 out of 10, it is really on the excitement scale, a 10 out of 10.
Well, follow up on that, Pate, because this is something you talked about, and we talked about going into the year with you, of, one of the narratives that you pointed to in the Big Ten Conference for a long time is, what is that next tier, and can anybody rise out of that next tier? Is it anything more than Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State, or is it a deeper race than that, right? I'm just curious now that and maybe it's Nebraska this weekend, maybe it's the Huskies for you. USC has been making some noise. They got Michigan State on Saturday. Illinois, Indiana play an interesting game, and then Illinois gets USC at home in the big new kickoff. Where are you at on that second tier of the Big Ten, and are you a believer that one of those teams has the ability to scale up and join a Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State?
Well, so that's twofold. I'm still out on it. That's why we're going to play games like this. That's why we got Illinois, Indiana coming up, but really I'm more looking forward to USC, Illinois. So that's part one. Part one is just we have to see those teams do it. Part two is we still got to peg where Ohio State really is, where Oregon really is, where Penn State really is. Because I'm watching the SEC, for example, and I don't know that there's a shelf one team down there. I look at it as a bunch of them on shelf two and a bunch of them on shelf three. There also may not be any shelf fours. It's just all compacted towards the middle. I don't think that's the Big Ten. I certainly know there's some bottom shelfers in the Big Ten. My goodness, are there some shelf fours in the Big Ten. Some of them are on the ground. Like, they're down below the non-name brand cereal. That's how bad some of the bottom of the Big Ten is. But as far as that tier one, tier two, yeah, I agree. I'm really about to say this. I agree with myself. I made a good point on that. I'm completely on board with myself. That is still the biggest story in that conference, but I don't know that we've seen it start to play itself out. I think we've got a bunch of games, this one included, that are sort of circle games to starting to put those puzzle pieces together.
This is Josh Pate. He joins us every Thursday at 7:40, diving into all things college football. He'll be in Lincoln, Nebraska, to where I'll be curious to hear the show come Sunday. I know you love to dabble in the loudest venue. I know when you went to Autzen for the first time, for example, you had noted how incredibly loud Autzen Stadium is, and you have talked about that before. That, to me, I've heard Autzen loud. That Lincoln game where we went in 2016, Dirt, when Oregon went for two every time and lost.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder.
Dude, my ears were ringing. It's probably one of, if not the loudest venue I've been to, so I'll be curious to hear your feedback on that on Sunday. You can find Josh on YouTube with the Josh Pate College Football Show. You already subscribed to it anyway, and give him a follow on socials at Josh Pate CFB, and follow him on Instagram. Look for the Ramen Noodle Express picks on Friday night lines. In the way that many in my life, and probably your life as well, especially out west, we would hear how Arizona State's a sleeping giant. And, most of it was just people pointing out how hot the women were, and football players would gravitate towards that. They largely never won and accomplished much. Well, Kenny Dillingham comes in, boom, they win the Big 12. Is Texas A&M kind of the next the ASU of my life, where my whole life it's A&M, and it's cultish, and it's, oh, look at all these people yelling, but they never quite accomplish stuff until maybe Elko. Is Elko the thing to make A&M finally worth all the hype?
Here's what I appreciate about you and this entire radio station, this entire vibe that I get anytime that I come on with you guys. You don't even skirt up against what they say about Texas A&M in the South. You are too mature. You're too professional. Let me tell you what the knock is about A&M in the South. How in the world is a university with no female cheerleaders about to do anything in this conference? That's what they yell in your face. And you guys are above that.
Wait,
You're
they don't have any female cheerleaders at A&M?
it.
They don't have female cheerleaders?
Oh, buddy. If you're serious about this, I've got some material I got some literature I need to send you. Yeah, it's a different world. You use the word cult and you have no idea what kind of can of worms I'm about to open for you if you're really unaware of what A&M is about.
I mean, I've seen the singing and the chanting and
so the guys in overalls are cheerleaders.
It's the only overall guys? They have no females on the sideline?
I can't, in strong enough terms, encourage you to come to a game. They don't call them games; they call them experiences.
Of course,
you need to come to an experience at Texas A&M with me. Look. So let me quickly answer your question.
Yeah.
Yes, A&M's that next team. Okay. Now that the question's answered, let me get back to this. I kid you not. I got some executive types, some management types from CBS where I was at last year, and we were going to go to an A&M game. Now these are Manhattan elites. These are Martha's Vineyard sweater vest types. So they've never even been like east of Brooklyn, never mind being to the heartland of America. And so I convinced them to come with me. And I hit up Billy Lucci, who's about as tied in as could possibly be at A&M. And I get sideline passes, and I get access to like the best country clubs on Friday night, because a country club in College Station, Texas, and Bryan, Texas, is insane. You go out in the middle of nowhere, and everybody's a billionaire, by the way. They all got, like, button-down T-shirts tucked into blue jeans with no belt. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. Everyone's worth $1 billion. And there are lit torches, and they do the same things you see on game day. They do what is called the Aggie War Hymn, which is where they all interlock arms, and there's just this chanting, and I truthfully, I still don't even know what they're saying, but they're going back and forth, and this is not at a game. This is like right in line with saying grace before they eat supper. And I'm telling you, it was probably 63, 64 degrees. I've never seen management sweat like that. They knew they were out of their element immediately. They were looking for the exit door, and there are none. There are only entrances. There are no exits. I could not have had a better time. I love it, man. I blend in out there. I'm not of them, but I blend in out there seamlessly. I wear the white T-shirt. No one's coming for me if it goes sideways. But management was, they were looking for the escape route.
You're an adopted member of the tribe. That is a phenomenal story. And now on my bucket list to get to a game, talk about bucket list for you, Nebraska. I got to get to a game down there. Now, I do want to ask, Oregon plays Oregon State this weekend. It's a Civil War. Oregon State fan is very angry that the game is going to be continued and the programs have separated conferences. And, if you want to have an answer on that, you can if you have any thoughts on that game. But also, I do think the majority of people on one side of this rivalry are looking towards what's happening next week. And I'm just curious to get an early look at Oregon-Penn State for you. Penn State has played nobody, but who has played anybody, right? Majority of teams haven't faced anybody tough. They've been sluggish out of the gate. Now they get a bye. That's lovely timing. And do we want to make a Fall Don't Lie tour announcement maybe on a Thursday the week before?
This is one of those rare cases where I tell you I don't know where I'm going, and I'm not lying. Most of the time I'm just lying to your face. But this time I really don't know where I'm going yet. I am actually having conversations about that this morning because I do believe that I'm going to pull off a twofer next week.
Ooh, there you go.
So we've got the morning slate, and I got to get through this quick because I got to answer your question. You've got Notre Dame at Arkansas or USC at Illinois. Those are 11 a.m. Central kickoffs. And then you could pair that with either Alabama at Georgia or Oregon at Penn State in the night. So that's the extreme first world problem I'm dealing with next week. As for this week, I really don't know what you can say about it because you know me. I mean, you guys have known me for a long time, so I love the more pageantry, tradition-based aspect of college football. I think it's insane that Oregon's in the Big Ten, but they are. And I think it's insane that rivalries have had to take a back seat to, the reshaping and reimagining of college football, but that's happened. So do I wish that the Civil War was an absolute focal point of this week's slate? Yes, I do. But even I'm thinking about Oregon-Penn State more so than that game. And I don't like myself for it. I'm going to go shatter every mirror in my apartment so I don't have to look at myself. But, that's even where my head's at. So I can't blame them.
Yeah. Winner of Utah, Texas Tech, the Big 12 winner in your estimation?
Any other conference, I would say yes. And the Big 12, I would still probably say yes. It's just I've learned don't assume things about that conference because it's crazy. I will say, what kind of twisted storyline would it be if we get separation in the Big 12? There is a clear 1-2 or 1-2-3, and it's another conference like the SEC that looks like the Big 12 where everything's just blended at the top. I think I just wrote a segment for tonight's show, by the way. You guys always help me on this.
There you go.
Is the SEC the new Big 12? What a headline. What a thumbnail that'll be. That'll drive those clicks and drive that engagement. But, I think so. I think you're looking at the best O-line versus D-line matchup in that league this year. I mean, I was talking to Joey McGuire, who, for the unfamiliar, is the head coach at Texas Tech, and he said, what I love about our team is we imported all these guys. Everyone thinks it's a bunch of mercenaries, and it's not. I'm in the building. they aren't. Like, I get it. But he said, we got multiple guys who started for us on D-line last year that were good that are not going to start for us this year. And it's not that they're bad character. It's not that they're hurt. It's not that they left. We recruited over them. And they've handled it well. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll see, when the live action starts in the fall. Well, this is kind of it, because you're going to go on the road in Salt Lake City, 10 a.m. kickoff. McDonald's still serving breakfast when the biggest game in your conference kicks off. Phenomenal planning. Well done. I've got Texas Tech slightly in that game, but really I don't have a feel for it. I'm just going to enjoy watching it.
It's going to be a good one, man. I'm looking forward to the slate this weekend. You'll be in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm looking forward to the show tonight with the Dirt and Sprague, my guys out on the West Coast. Shout out on that show. It's going to be fantastic. Josh Pate, Josh Pate College Football Show on YouTube, at Josh Pate CFBB in Lincoln with Bussin' with the Boys. Thank you so much, Pate State University, for making a kindly stop and talking college ball with us.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. Josh Pate of the Josh Pate College Football Show. He'll have his episode tonight, and then he'll peruse around college football. We've been in Lincoln. He'll experience what it's like to be at Memorial Stadium, right?
Memorial Stadium,
and
Lincoln, Nebraska.
You'll get his feedback, because I do think it's going to register on the loud meter for him of environments he's been at. Again, my ears were ringing when they got one of those big crucial stops of Oregon in 2016.
And this is a time when that fan base is truly believing that this is the year. This is the moment. This is a game that they have to have. The atmosphere when they beat Colorado was incredible last year. A lot of that had to do with, one, the rivalry, the Dion stuff. They lost the game the year before in Boulder. This one is going to be probably on another level, especially if they win or they look good doing it. It's going to be outrageous how loud it gets. I love the idea there at the end of that segment, too, of like, who is the best team in the SEC? Probably Georgia, your answer right now, but I don't know if we feel great about that. Texas was supposed to be it. They haven't looked great. Tennessee looks better than I thought. Alabama's already lost a game. Do we trust LSU's offense with an injury to the quarterback? Like, the SEC is very interesting this year.
What was the thing you introduced him to last year that he ended up using?
Pucker meter.
Pucker meter?
Pucker meter, yeah. Where's the pucker meter at for ups? Where's your pucker meter at?
I'm going to put it at plus money here. Do we finally get a shout out on the program?
Yeah, he stole the pucker meter from us, but he's doing free. He comes on the show. We don't ask for anything, and so we
just gave him a segment idea.
We just gave him a segment idea.
That's a pretty big deal.
I will be tuned in as I am on every Thursday to see what he says tonight.
Good stuff. Our good friend Josh Pate on Twitter at Josh Pate CFB. Loaded third hour of the program. Bill Riley of Utah will join us at 8:30. We'll get his read on this weekend's big nooner game. Where are they feeling about the 10 a.m. kick time? That's brutal.
Outrageous.
But also the race in the Big 12. A check-in on our old friend Kyle Whittingham with Bill Riley at 8:30. It's a loaded third hour. Dirt and Sprague on 105.1 The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys you can put your trust in. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today online or reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on the Fan. Will the Dolphins defense be able to do anything against the Bills in Buffalo tonight? Thursday night football, 5:15 kick. Buffalo 12.5-point favorites, expected to go 3-0. Elsewhere in the NFL, encouraging news for the 49ers. They got quarterback Brock Purdy back on the practice field Wednesday doing limited work. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said there is an outside chance he could play Sunday against the Cardinals. In D.C., the Commanders received the final approval for the RFK Stadium project to go forward. That would move the team back inside the district, and the team hoping it'll be ready for the 2030 season. Mariners wrapping up their series against the Royals today in Kansas City with a 12:40 first pitch. The winning streak stopped last night in a 7-5 loss. That dropped them a half game behind the Astros in the AL West chase. Houston idle today. They will host the M's for 3 this weekend. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 3, Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader, 105.1 FM, The Fan, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube, Fan Sports Network. Good morning, everybody. My co-host is still gone.
Everything okay?
We ran out of coffee in the building, which he's not a big coffee guy. He doesn't like warm coffee. He likes cold coffee, so that's not a big thing for him. It's a big thing for you and I, because you and I drink coffee, and I
have the reserve stash of English breakfast tea here.
And I'm not a big tea guy, but, if it gives you a little boost, a little zap late in the show, it's all you need.
You got to do what you got to do.
So we don't have any iced coffee in the building. We don't have any coffee anyways, but he's an iced coffee guy.
Yes.
3 commercial breaks ago, he ran across the street to go get a coffee. They told him, I'll just be a minute or 2. He said, okay. So he ran back in the commercial break, ran over, ordered the coffee, ran back. And then in the break before Pate State came on, he ran back over there to go get his coffee, at which point they told him, no, it's just breakfast. I thought you were getting a coffee. He got food. He's hungry. Then he came back, and then he had to go get it in that last commercial break. You got your food? You ready to go?
How long you guys been back?
Like 7 minutes. You missed the entire segment.
That's
Coming up next.
True. That is not true.
Not very long. We went late with Pate State.
So I ordered something, right? Our good friends across the street.
Yes.
And I was like, how long does this take? Because our breaks aren't that long.
Yeah.
5 minutes. I'm like, cool. I'll be right back. Come back about 4.5 minutes later. It's going to be about 4 minutes. I'm like, it's a Pate State break.
I got to get back. We got a segment to do here.
I don't have a lot of time here.
No, we don't have a lot of time in breaks.
So I said, I'll be back, right? But that's a 20-minute segment. So I came back. Then they're like, we had to give that burrito away. It sat too long. But
Are you kidding me?
They refunded me.
Really?
And they said, we'll get you another one.
How does that mean it sat too long? It's only been 10, 15 minutes it's been out.
I don't know, man. I don't make these decisions.
Huffing and puffing over there. You all right? Need a minute?
Well, it was like a dead sprint, like, hey, what's your 40 time type of sprint. Not
see how fast we can get there.
Not a hood to coast pace. You
know
what I mean?
Jog back and forth across the street. It's good to have you back.
But it's good to be back. But I went and got the burrito order again. I go, how long are these going to take? He's like, 1 minute. And I look at my clock. I'm like, well, it's 8:02. Yeah. We went long. And
I should be okay here.
It's 8:05. And I'm like, all right, I got to go.
Can I get my burrito, please?
And then as I was running back, the guy ran out with the burrito. I was like, I'm so sorry, man. It's been a bit of experience.
We got our burrito. We're good to go. We got a lot to get to in this hour of radio. Bill Riley will join us coming up at 8:30. Hoping to have coffee delivered at some point so I can get a little pick-me-up for the back half of the show, but we'll see how it goes. We ran out yesterday, and that was not a wonderful discovery. I want to get to a couple of college football nuggies. One of them coming out of the Pate State interview there. And that is, where are you guys at now? If I say anything on this, I'm probably viewed as a little biased. Maybe I'm wearing a certain color tinted glasses going into this conversation.
What, you biased with your team? No
never,
way.
Never been biased. Never happened before. I've never been fooled.
No.
Are you guys with Pate State on Mario Cristobal in Miami this year? Is there still a doubt in the back of your mind? Like, so he brings up the idea of Miami, and this might, him thinking that they might win a national championship this year. One texter commented, Mario is their weakness. Miami will stumble. And another one.
Certainly one of the opinions.
Mario is their biggest weakness. Yeah. He was the last year he was at Oregon, and he had a top 5 NFL quarterback. And then there's some more in there that I can't read over the air. And so that, clearly those are coming in from Oregon fans who were saying, we remember Mario, and Mario lost games you shouldn't lose. And
Well, the Herbert thing also has not aged well for him, where you had that and you ran him and you couldn't make an offense that mattered or made sense to him.
Sure. You had one of the freakish athletes at quarterback in the NFL, and you put the restrictor plates on him for 2 years there.
Yep.
Where are you guys at on Miami this year? They got Florida this weekend. Game day is going there. Reese Davis is defending the decision to go to Miami, which I don't know why you would defend that. It's a horrible call. That game sucks, and nobody really cares.
Well, okay, where should they go?
I could throw a handful of games at you. I think Indiana, Illinois is more interesting than Miami, Florida. I think Utah, Texas Tech is more interesting than Miami, Florida.
There, I don't think they like to. Double dip chip very often, and they do a couple times a year.
Auburn, Oklahoma is more interesting than that game.
They were just in Oklahoma.
That's fine. Michigan, Nebraska is more interesting than that game, and Tulane and Ole Miss is more interesting than that game. All of those games are more interesting than Miami and Florida. Florida is 1-2, and their quarterback just threw 5 picks.
Yeah,
and they lost at home to South Florida.
I think the Nebraska would have been the choice. I think overall, though, I know they like to pretend they're week to week. I think they largely know where they're going a few weeks out. And then if something changes that's drastic, they'll pivot.
This reeks of one that they picked at the start of the year, and then Florida lost 2 games and they didn't have time to pivot.
Here's my thing on Mario. I totally think a lot of what people are texting in is accurate. We all watched the same thing, whether you were a fan of it or not a fan of it. I don't disagree necessarily that he might be the weakness. Gene Chizik won a national championship, did he not?
He did.
Now you can say Cam Newton, all-time guy, and Malzahn with the offense. Sure. Certainly, I totally understand that. Fairley was a beast on defense. My point is, sometimes guys who you don't normally consider title-winning coaches, Ed Orgeron. To me, it's the Jimmies and the Joes, is it not? Ed Orgeron is the definition of a guy that showed you it's the Jimmies and the Joes. Now, the X's and O's will matter, and some coaches will out-coach you and out-scheme you. I don't know if Mario and Miami are going to do it, but do I buy that they can? 150%. I don't think their conference is necessarily that hard. If they get past Florida, and this is the Mario test, right? Because there's always a stupid game for him.
They had 2 of them last year. Georgia Tech, who was a good team, but not elite. They were good, and they lost on the road, and then they went on the road to Syracuse. All they needed was a win to get into the conference title game and go to the college football playoff, and they lost to Syracuse.
To me, it's their next 2 games. They get past these next 2 games, because in 2 weeks, it's at Florida State.
Florida State, next 2 games.
You get past Florida, and you get past Florida State. They're better than Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Va-Tech, and Pitt. That is, they will not lose if they don't lose to Florida or Florida State. They're undefeated. The new dynamic of the power playoff, the rankings and how the seeding's going to go, they'll be, I think that absolutely they can win it. And I don't trust Mario that much, but I just think it's about the Jimmies and the Joes.
And I think Carson Beck being one of those Jimmies and Joes is, I see Carson Beck, if Mario tries to do something way too, him, being experienced enough and have enough confidence in himself to, change plays, call audibles, do something. It's no, we're not doing that at this point. And if he gets in, and he's not afraid probably to get into it with Mario because he had Kirby, so he's used to being yelled at. He's not scared of that. So, yeah, I think Carson Beck is the antidote to Mario being Mario at some point. Now, Beck could still throw 3 picks against Florida State, and they could lose it. There's that. But as far as, late game clock management, situational things that he traditionally has messed up in the past.
He almost did in the Notre Dame game.
Team games.
He almost did. He lost track of how many timeouts Notre Dame had, and he ran the ball, and he tried to lose it.
And he was
being
end. Too conservative. And those are moments. But what did he do? They won the game.
They did.
So even in a game where we're all like, yo, what are you doing? They ended up winning it. Maybe that was one of his 2 moments of the season, and he snatched the victory
They
from
survived despite the fact that he
Yes.
lost track of timeouts and went uber conservative.
Because in the past, those
instead of
ended
going
up,
for the kill shot.
Yeah, those ended up railroading him. I think they have young playmakers. I know we abandoned Beck because it was a weird, bad season, but statistically wasn't really as bad as we pretend it was.
No, and they led the country in drops, too, on top of it. So he did not have a lot of help from his wideouts.
I look at the defense, and it's only a snapshot of 3 games, Notre Dame and South Florida, the 2 that matter in those. But
that Florida State game is fascinating in a couple of weeks when they go to Tallahassee. That's going to be a lot of fun because Florida State had the win over Alabama, and then they played nobody, and then they had a bye week. And Florida State gets Kent State and then Virginia the next 2 weeks leading into that game. So you imagine they're undefeated and ranked in the top 10.
That Tony kid, I think, is just turned 18. The freshman wide receiver for them,
Malachi
Tony.
Yes, he's going to be an absolute monster. He's one of the highest rated kids coming out of high school.
If that kid's already produced and they've played, South Florida's not necessarily the team of Tennessee and Georgia stature, but
their schedule's not terrible. Beating Notre Dame and South Florida might be the Group of 5 representative, and beating Notre Dame, who I know we joked about earlier being 0-2, and it's totally fair to have the thought they shouldn't be ranked in the top 25. I still think from a talent composite standpoint,
I don't disagree.
Notre Dame's one of the best 15 teams in all of college football.
That kid already has 18 catches with 200 plus yards in 3 games. He's a barely an 18-year-old freshman. So
they're going to him a ton.
I get why people here don't, but he gets the talent, man.
The other thing, too, that I think benefits, we talk a lot about how Notre Dame has benefited from the revamped playoff picture. They now have, not this year because they've already lost 2 games, but in other years, in theory, they have the ability to get a first-round bye because it doesn't just go to conference champions anymore after they change that.
Yep.
I would argue one of the other biggest benefactors of the expanded college football playoff field is Mario Cristobal.
Yes.
Because he is a guy who unquestionably, and it will happen at some point this year, they're going to be in a game that you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why? What? And I don't know if
it might be this weekend.
It could be this weekend. It could be, Louisville at home. It could be going on the road to SMU. You never know. Nobody had Georgia Tech beating them last year. Georgia Tech was a decent story.
100%.
I think Georgia Tech was 7-5 last season, and Syracuse, again, was fine with Kyle McCord, but let's not act like Syracuse was a world beater. They were a good team, but not elite. He loses games that he should not lose as a double-digit favorite, and he did that in his time at Oregon. He beat Ohio State, and then 3 weeks later you lose, or 2 weeks later, you lose to a 3-9 Stanford team. That was the epitome of who he was. Or losing to Auburn and then rattling off all those wins, and then Arizona State gets you at the end of the year. But the picture now is a 12-team playoff field. Now, it bit them last year because they didn't get into the ACC title game, and they ended up being left out of the playoff because of that, because Clemson jumped them by winning the conference. But this year, you can even beat Florida. Even if you lose to Florida State, you could probably trip up somewhere else. If you're still in the ACC title game, they'll be in. And there is a belief in him, at least from me in his time at Oregon, in big games. He gets his team up for big games. He has them ready to go. Mm-hmm. They don't often. I know the Utah games at the end were ugly when he was at Oregon, but I think part of that was his mind was already in South Florida. He has the ability to get his team ready to go to win big games. So there is a belief in him when he gets to that point. It's just a question of can he avoid the hurdles. But so far they have this season, and I think they'll be in the playoffs.
Well, and it's a snapshot, and your point on double-digit favorite, that you're not wrong.
That's been the biggest difference between him and Lanning in their 10 years. Lanning has not lost a game that I would argue, maybe the Oregon State game.
The Oregon State game is the only one on that
the only
resume.
one, but that's a 10-win Oregon State team. That was a good. I know they couldn't throw the ball, but that was a good Oregon State team. And every other game he's lost, they've either been a toss-up game or a slight favorite or a massive underdog.
Now, this is all barring injury, of course, because that's football. But hold this: if they get past the Florida schools, I don't see it, man. I think Syracuse is not that good. I thought SMU got super exposed at home. Stanford's terrible. Louisville doesn't have that buzz. NC State, I don't know. They barely beat Wake Forest last weekend.
Yeah.
Vautech has fired their coach already, and Pitt's. I hold it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I also think a lot of the feedback we're getting, it's Scar Duck fan. Because this was his first, I know he has FIU. This was his first big gig, and he gave you a lot of great things. He upped your recruiting profile. He won the conference, but he just fell short in a couple moments, and those moments hurt really bad. That 3-9 Stanford loss was inexcusable after beating Ohio State.
Especially in a 4-team playoff field where you couldn't afford stuff like that.
But the idea that a guy can't recruit and get better and getting talent and having the right things line up, I don't dismiss it. So I don't know if they'll win it, but I don't dismiss the idea of Miami being able to win it.
Yeah, I think your Orgeron point is pretty solid and spot on there. I'm going to get to another story in college football, and there's coaches who are now talking about this. Is it fixable, or have we given up? Where is the college football community on this story? I want to get to that. We'll talk to Bill Riley coming up. Bottom of the hour. Back after this. 105.1 FM, The Fan.
Fan Sports Network.
All right, welcome back in. Sprague's giving 2 thumbs up to his burrito.
They did a pretty good job, man. They stuffed that thing.
Only $6 too. It's a good deal. Bill Riley coming up 9 minutes from now.
If Oregon, let's just, in a hypothetical here, I don't want to take the segment because I do want to talk about what you want to get to.
Sure.
In a hypothetical that Oregon, let's say, loses a shootout to Georgia in the semifinal.
Okay. Semis of the playoff.
And it's a heartbreaking loss, but you're like, we were that close, right?
Right there knocking on the door. Sure.
And then Georgia falls to Miami in a championship.
Loses to Miami in the title.
I'm trying to gauge how would Oregon, would that crush Oregon fan? How do you think they would register? Because the response to Mario being able to win all of it, I'm noting this in my head of okay, 0 people believe this guy can do it.
Well, that's
and I understand there's some hurt, feelings there, but also we've seen him choke away at Miami and Oregon, some games that you go, why?
His late game decision making can be questionable, and he has the problem over the years of not getting his team up to play in every game and losing games that he should not lose.
Well, I'm not going to speak for every USC fan, but I remember looking at message board stuff the year Orgeron won at LSU. Because remember, he filled in after they fired Kiffin or Sark. I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was Sark. We were down there for that game. They beat Oregon State in Corvallis, and he made his players carry him off the field.
And there were USC fans that yo, why didn't we keep this guy? He knows how to get talent.
Yeah.
It became about the Jimmies and the Joes, even though everybody and their mom did not think he had the X's and the O's.
To answer your question in this example you're giving me, I don't think it would be crushing. The Oregon losing the way that they would lose and being that close again to reaching the mountaintop and coming up short would be far more crushing than watching Mario Cristobal win a national title.
Okay.
I think that would... And it's different if you lose to Mario,
now, if you lose in the title game,
or you lose in the title game, or they come to Oregon in the first round of the playoffs. Let's say you're not getting a bye, and it's the 12 versus 5 or whatever matchup you want, and they come to town and they beat you in your first playoff game.
That hurts,
without a doubt. That is crushing. Yeah. But losing to anybody would be crushing in that moment because you got to win a playoff game this year.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a sting there. I think it's just there's a little bit. That hurts, but it's not going to cause you more pain and damage than what would happen losing yourself in the postseason. More texts continue to come in on Mario Cristobal. Time will tell. We'll see if they blow out Florida like everybody assumes they will this weekend. Where are we at on this player? Through 3 games, 55% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. An opposing coach had a quote, an anonymous quote, of course, saying, quote, he's rushing a lot of passes, he seems nervous, and he's not comfortable pre-snap. This player was booed off the field with the rest of his team at the end of the first half of their last game. And that player is Arch Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Arch Manning came in as the most hyped college quarterback we've seen in quite some time, just in terms of the dialogue and conversation about him going into the year.
That's the name.
It's the name, right? And where he was ranked in the recruiting profile. And you could say the recruiting profile had to do a lot with his name, which I necessarily wouldn't disagree with because he played at a small level of high school football in Louisiana. He looks the part physically, but so far through 3 games, it has not looked pretty in any way, shape, or form. Opening with Ohio State, we all said, okay, it's Ohio State. That's a tough game to go play. First game, he's throwing sidearm. He'll be fine. And then it's a slow start at home against San Jose State, but they eventually pull away and he throws 4 touchdowns. You say, all right, they'll be okay. And then this past week, they're playing at home again, and he's getting booed off the field against UTEP. And the stat line, I sent you a graph or a picture, a screenshot of the stat line at the end of the first half. It was 6 of 15 for 52 yards and a pick.
Yeah.
It's ugly, ugly, ugly. Not just that he's not living up to the hype. It said you're almost questioning, is this guy starting quarterback at that level? Where are we at on Arch? And is there room for growth isn't the right phrase here, but do we believe that the hype will ever be realized, I guess?
I mean, not to the... Are we talking about the Feinbaum level of the best
talking
quarterback
about being
since
one of the best in the sport and being a guy who's an NFL starter?
No. No. Well, NFL starter, I can't speak to that, but if we just keep it in the college game...
He's already in his 3rd year of college football, too. He's eligible to go after this year.
And
it's not like he's a true freshman. It's not... It's not Bryce Underwood right now who's starting as an 18-year-old kid.
Well, I thought Suk always made a good point of they probably internally were thinking he was going to take a leap last year and push Ewers because it wasn't like Ewers jumped off the screen and he couldn't do it. They came in and said, hey, it's 4th and 1. We need you to sneak it.
Can you go run? Yeah, or use your legs because he's a good athlete.
I kind of go back to the Ohio State game, and I don't know about the injury stuff, man. I think excusing or opting to the quarterback is injured narrative without knowing concretely is kind of a weird out for it.
That's one of those things you usually hear in the aftermath of it. They'll like leak it at the end of the year. Actually, he's been dealing with blah, 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 blah.
To me, he looks like a guy who's in his own head.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to the Ohio State game, and I just don't remember the first half him throwing sidearm every pass. And by the second half, it looked like every throw was a sidearm Uncle Rico flick. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm not a quarterback guy in any way, coach, but like even I can see that throwing motion ain't going to work. And so he looks like a guy his mechanics are broken. He's in his own kitchen. Like, who do they play this week? Sam Houston?
They played, Sam Houston.
Sam Houston, and then you get the Oklahoma game, right?
Yeah, no, at Florida, then Oklahoma.
Like,
yes.
He's probably going to put up 4 or 5 touchdowns the way he did against San Jose State. I'm going to take 0 away from that. What you do against Florida and Oklahoma is the barometer of like what that ceiling is. It's not that you can't get better. We've seen plenty of quarterbacks grow. It's that it just looks so opposite of what we were told about him from almost every pundit.
Everybody.
That it's jarring to watch. And to me, I just wonder when internally, if they're not there, when are they concerned? Because I heard the Sark audio. I've heard the Arch audio. I got to play better. And Sark's like, I know he has it in him. And I'm like, when you have to kind of say that stuff out loud after 3 weeks where you've played 2 patsies and 1 really good team, that tells me internally you're probably starting to see on film troubling things in many ways. So get past this patsy. Florida's not amazing, but, if you're going to play like this, you're live.
Yeah.
And then Oklahoma, they have a defense that can absolutely wreck a quarterback who is dealing with confidence issues.
I mean, he's a guy who's waited for 3 years, back-to-back years in the same system. Like, this isn't just throwing a fish out of water as a freshman and saying, go swim. He's been around. He's developed. This was his whole thought process of this is how I want to do it. And I don't blame you for thinking he might torch Sam Houston this weekend because he did end up with 4 tutties against San Jose State 2 weeks ago. His stat line against UTEP at home was 11 of 25 for 114 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Against UTEP at home.
I mean, and
that was a 14-3 game at the end of the first half, and they scored late in that first half to make it 14-3.
You can certainly say Ohio State better than anybody on the Oregon schedule, and obviously that's true,
yes.
But I would also counter and say Dante Moore sat 1 year in the Stein offense and watched Dylan Gabriel operate. He went and dropped 60. Well, there was back-to-back pick sixes. Whatever the amount he dropped.
52 or whatever.
Whatever it was when
55,
he played.
Whatever, yeah.
But look what they did to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is better than Sam Houston. Oklahoma State is better than San Jose. And Oklahoma State is better than the other, whoever it is. But you should be seeing from Arch what you're seeing from Dante Moore. And it's not even like remotely close. I think him and Lagway are outside of the good teams and the hypothetical funds of who's going to win the conferences and contention. Man, I think they might be right there in the mix of biggest talking points this year of how bad both have been.
It continues to be a storyline we'll watch as the season goes on. Arch was awful last week. Even if he torches Sam Houston, to your point, I don't think it changes anybody's mind. We'll wait and see what he does at Florida and what he does against Oklahoma in the Red River Rivalry game. One of the big games of the weekend in college football is Utah hosting Texas Tech. A 10 a.m. local start. How does our friend Bill Riley feel about it? He's a longtime voice of the Utes. He's going to hop on, talk some college football, and big game in Salt Lake this weekend. That's next, but first, your Swag with Sports Center.
This is a Rivalry Week edition of Dirt and Sprague, brought to you by Roto-Rooter. Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings tossed with a perfect dry rub, served with a trio of killer sauces. Menus at bigschicken.com. First on the Fan. Well, the Bills, how badly are they going to smoke and fry the Dolphins tonight? That's really the question for Thursday Night Football. They are 12.5-point favorites. That's the biggest spread in the NFL so far this year. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Commanders are going back to the district. The final approval was granted for the RFK Stadium project. The team hopes to have the new stadium built in time for the 2030 season. 49ers not ruling out quarterback Brock Purdy to play this Sunday against the Cardinals. He was on the practice field Wednesday doing limited work. Mariners trying to win the series against the Royals today, 12:40 getaway day after dropping a 7-5 loss on Wednesday night. They fell a half game behind the Astros in the race for the AL West lead. They will spend the weekend in Houston against the Astros starting on Friday. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Recruiting with Andrew Nemec, Thursday evenings at 7 after Sports Network. In this wide world of sports, some stories can slip through the cracks.
Now, before we do this, Let's go over the ground rules.
Pelican Brewing presents The Daily Ticker, where Dirt and Sprague hit the big stories you've heard about and some you haven't.
How'd you do that? I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
The Daily Ticker with Dirt and Sprague is brought to you by Pelican Brewing, independently brewing on the Oregon coast since 1996. Discover even more flavors from your local coast with Pelican's new craft sodas. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach.
All right, Pelican Brewing Hard Hops presents today's Daily Ticker. Discover Hard Hops Blackberry Hop-Infused Hard Seltzer and experience your hops differently. One of the best games of the weekend in college football. Saturday morning, bright and early, 10 a.m. start. It's the big noon game on Fox, and it is Utah hosting Texas Tech. And joining us now is our great friend, longtime voice of Utah football, Bill Riley. Bill, first off, good morning to you. Did we deactivate Twitter? Are we off of Twitter now?
I've decided, boys, that it's no longer what I need to do.
Yes. Congratulations. Yes.
If it can't make me money, but it can lose me money, I don't need it in my life.
Another round of applause. Very good point by you.
Brilliant call. Let's start with the hard-hitting question of, are we excited or depressed about the idea of a 10 a.m. local kickoff?
I love the early kick, guys.
Yeah.
That UCLA game was so late, even for West Coast purposes. That game was so late. I have done enough Pac-12 after dark games in my life. I love it. A big noon kickoff is here in town. The set is there. Urban and the boys. The A Fox time slot where the whole country is going to get to see you. Whittingham loves it. He would play it when the sun crests over the mountains here, if he could, at 6:02 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't mind it at all. It's a little bit of an adjustment, but come on, it's game day Saturday. You get like 6 of these at home. Fans are fans. They love to tailgate. Duck fans would do it. Beaver fans would do it if you're going to do it. And here's the other thing I tell fans too: you're only playing this time slot because your team's good. They don't put teams that aren't very good in the prime noon Eastern time Fox time slot. So, they won't be there every week. It'll be maybe a couple of times a year. So I don't mind it. I like it. Then I can get home, have a nice drink, maybe one of those Pelican hard sodas or one of those beers.
Package is on the way. It's on the way. It's en route.
It is. Would you send it Pony Express? Yeah. So it's great because then I can get home and watch, some football later in the day. So I don't mind it. It'll be a great setting, sellout crowd. The sun, it's supposed to be 75 and sunny. It'll be a great setting on Saturday.
Let me ask you, Sir William Riley, what did you learn about Texas Tech against my beloved Beavers last weekend?
Not a lot.
Thank you.
It's kind of like the Utah-UCLA game. We thought UCLA was going to be maybe in they stink. They're not good. And I know if I hate to say this because I love the Oregon State fans, but it's looks like it's kind of a rough year. I think what I learned is kind of like Utah. Texas Tech and Utah are both good. They've both done it against their 3 opponents. It's weird to say this, but the best team either one of them's probably played is Wyoming. Wyoming is actually a kind of a middle of the pack, hard playing Mountain West team. But I don't think I learned that Texas Tech is good. They didn't mess around. But I think Saturday we're going to learn a lot about both these teams and where they're at. I don't think we know a great deal about where they are in the non-conference season, and Saturday is going to tell us a lot more.
Yeah, I was really high on Utah coming into the year because of the quarterback addition, and I do want to talk about them, but I'm curious to ask you, Bill, because we're going through something up here this week, and that is they announced yesterday they're continuing the Civil War series. Oregon and Oregon State play this weekend, and Beaver fans want nothing to do with the game anymore because the resources at each school, and it feels like an automatic win, right? So the juice is completely gone. It feels like from the rivalry that used to be great in the weekend after Thanksgiving every year, and a tradition in this state that a lot of us have loved for a long time. You'll have to correct me because I'm a little hazy and I got some holes in my memory here, but this was like Utah State, right? Like they used to play every year. Utah leaves the conference and then it kind of dwindled, but they've played a couple of times since. So what was the history there? How did the fan bases react when it was stopped playing, and how do they react now when it is getting played again?
Well, BYU was always the main rival.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, Utah State was an in-state game, and it was played for a long time, and they were Utah was always a little bit better program, but Utah State was pesky and competitive, and then over the last 20 years, it really hasn't been there. It's just different. I mean, Oregon State's the Civil War. Utah BYU's the Holy War. Utah State and BYU BYU and Utah both play Utah State, but it doesn't have the same feel or vibe to it. And Utah's played Utah State on and off. It hasn't been a consistent thing. They went up there last year to play because they needed a game, so they added that. But it's not. That's I won't even call it a rivalry, kind of a series that's kind of gone by the wayside.
Okay. Where do you view Utah right now? Like, Dampier's been a great addition. Their record indicates pretty good. This might be a huge, tiebreaker scenario situation within a crazy Big 12. So far, early good return for Whittingham and Utah with Dampier at the quarterback position, which was what really plagued them last year. What do we make of the Utes so far going into this game with the new addition at quarterback?
Much like I said about Texas Tech, they're a good, really good team. This is the test this week. Texas Tech spent mostly on the defensive side of the football, mostly on that defensive line. They loaded up, whatever number you want to look at, $25, $30, $50 million is what they front loaded all those deals before the July 1 settlement date came in. Next year it'll be different because everybody's allegedly supposed to comply with that $21.5 million, settlement deal. But Utah's going to face its best test. They just really are. And so far, the offense has been a hit. Dampier knows it because he played in it at New Mexico. His favorite receiver, Ryan Davis, has 19 catches in 3 games. They've run the ball in every way, shape, and form they can. They're getting the ball to a bunch of guys. They don't have that one dude. They don't have that one weapon that they're throwing it to. But every game, 9 to 11 guys are catching the ball. 8 to 9 guys are running the ball. So while they may not have that one, oh my God, look out for this guy, they've got about 7 or 8 or 9 guys they can get the ball to at any point in time to make plays. So far, so good. The returns have been good. And this week's going to be that, that litmus test. How good is it? Where are we in the hierarchy of things?
Well, and then I think on the Dampier note, too, last year, his completion percentage was just shy of 58%. He had 12 touchdowns and 12 picks. Still tremendous to watch and a freak athlete. This year, his completion percentage in 3 games is at 73%. He's got 7 touchdowns and no picks. And this is one of the storylines we talked about, Bill, early in the season, where a lot of these hype guys, we just got done doing a segment on Arch Manning before we brought you in. I'm like, what the hell's happening there? He seems broken. He seems lost. The Heisman race is wide open. His numbers right now, if you look across the country, you can argue are as good as anybody's in college football, and he's doing it with his legs as well. And the 2 games that he's actually had to play, and didn't, the Cal Poly game, I imagine he didn't play a ton in the second half, and they didn't want him to run. What does a win this weekend do for that Heisman campaign? Because his numbers are there.
Well, because what we were talking about at the beginning, you're on Big Fox. Everybody in the country is going to see this game. Nobody's fallen asleep and missing this thing. It's a chance for him. And to be fair, too, Baron Morton is really good for Texas Tech. This dude can spin it, and he's kind of been an under-the-radar guy. I think both these quarterbacks this weekend have a chance to really make a statement with all the eyeballs on them. Now, watch it end up being a 13-10 game where the defenses dominate and all of this goes out the window. I don't think that's going to be the case, but no, it's a real chance. And Devin, last year he was a true sophomore. He was starting for the first time, and he was in a brand new offense. And to be very fair, he had a terrible offensive line and not a ton of weapons around him at New Mexico, yet they were 4th in the country in offense. He had to do a lot. He was kind of the Superman running around. It was really an interesting setup. Well, this year he's got one of the best offensive lines in the country. He's got 2 running backs who could both be 1,000-yard rushers this year. He's got a cavalcade of guys to throw the football to. So his numbers are going to be better just being in the offense for a second year, but also not having to make the plays all by himself. It was interesting. I talked to Joey McGuire, just got off the phone with him this morning to do a pregame interview with him, the Texas Tech coach. And he's like, he was a high school coaching legend in Texas. He goes, I coached against Kyler Murray 3 times in high school and once in college when he was at Baylor. He said, this guy is the closest thing I've seen to Kyler Murray since seeing Kyler Murray. I don't think he's quite as fast as Kyler Murray, but he's got that elusiveness and that ability to make plays. Some of his plays, he's having to kind of learn to play from the pocket because he's actually got a pocket to throw from this year. But to hear a coach say he's comparable to a guy like Kyler Murray is pretty high praise.
I don't know if we've asked you this before. We've had you on so many times, and you're a good friend of the program. At what age did you go from Billy to Bill?
Well, here's the thing I always say. People that call me Billy, with the exception of Kyle Whittingham, because for some reason Kyle Whittingham's called me Billy for 20 years. If you call me Billy, you've probably known me since I was about 18 or 19 years old.
Okay.
And if you call me Bill or William or Jackass or something like that, you've probably known me since I was like 20 or 21 years old. So that's usually the line of demarcation, is kind of that 18, 19-year-old range, unless you're Kyle Whittingham, because for whatever reason, he's called me Billy for 20 years.
I've always found the name a very confusing one for me and who I am. And I only asked you this question is because when I text you, my phone auto-corrected to Billy. I only text people with Bill. I don't know why it did that. And I thought, what if I had sent this? Would this offend him? But I'm also curious why you go Bill instead of Will. But you look like a Bill Riley. You don't look like a Will Riley.
Yeah, Bill fits you.
Well, my dad's Bill, so I'm like the fourth.
Okay. All right,
I'm the fourth, so my dad was Bill as well. So that's probably where it comes from.
Gotcha.
But Sprague, if you want to, you can call me Billy. I'll give you
granted the
since
immunity.
The phone auto corrected it since Siri said Billy, so you and Kyle Whittingham have permission.
All right, there we go. I'll send you the Pelican finally. Dirt's a cheap ass.
Now it's on its way. Now that we can call you Billy. Now
that's all it took.
Yes.
Tell me anything you want if you're going to send me a 12-pack of Pelican, for goodness sake.
He's the voice of Utah. They got a big one on the Big Nooner this weekend. Utah, Texas Tech. We always love catching up with him. Bill Riley or Billy Riley, if you prefer. Have a great call this weekend, and let's do this again soon, Bill.
Hey, by the way, your producer, Tony, will you guys try to stay on clock today? I know it'll be a first for you guys, but would you stay on clock?
Hey, you know what? You got it. Our guest just wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, he just won't stop talking about this Billy thing and the Pelican stuff. He just keeps going on and on. We're trying to break. What are we doing?
Talk to you soon, boys.
There you go. Bill Riley, the voice of Utah football. The Daily Ticker, as always, brought to you by our great friends at Pelican Brewing Company. Their Hard Hops presents today's Daily Ticker. Discover Hard Hops Blackberry Hop-infused hard seltzer and experience your hops differently. A Big Kahuna in Salt Lake City. 10 a.m. start time. I don't think will go over very well here.
He's a sicko. Me, him, and Whittingham are sickos. We love that morning football, but the majority of that fan base is pissed.
The other thing you got to remember, too, is how, and maybe people can say you're an idiot. There's a ton of them, but like they're in Salt Lake. Like if they're in the city that the majority of their fan base is in. Does that make sense? It's not a 2-hour drive, I would argue, for most of their fans. I'm sure they have people that do come from out of town.
I don't know how the landscape
right,
of
but
Utah
like how
works.
many Oregon and Oregon State fans are driving down to the game every weekend, and so a 10 a.m. game is a little bit different when there's a 2-hour drive involved, and it's not, hey, it's 15 minutes. I'm going from, southeast Portland to Hillsboro.
Yeah, but you still have to start tailgating at like
you still got to start tailgating
if you're
early.
Going to tailgate at all, right?
Yes, you do. I get it from a working angle, from a fan angle. It sucks. A couple thoughts on this weekend's college football slate, then we'll dive into some NFL stuff coming up. We also got our big packs to get to, big pack picks to get to. We'll wedge those in. Still a lot to come next on The Fan.
Network.
All right, welcome back in. 11:53. That Bill Riley wouldn't shut up, so we went a little long on the clock there. Let's get it out of the way now, because I don't think there's a lot of... I mean, we'll see. Maybe you surprise me. Maybe each of you take a certain direction that I don't see coming. You want to do our big pack picks here? Want to get our big pack picks out of the way? There's only 2 games to choose from this week. We don't have a full slate because they play each other.
Yeah.
So for those who are new to the program, hello. First off, good morning to you. We pick the 2... God, that's the only reason I like the segment, just so I can hear this music for a little bit. The Oregon State, Washington State games every week against the spread, and they're playing each other this week, so there's only 2 games. Last week in our big pack picks, I went over. Took Oregon State, and Washington State. Oopsies. Sprague, you had a 2-1 weekend. You took North Texas. You were the only one, and you went against your Beavs. Took Texas Tech to cover the big number, and they did. And Swag, you went 1-2, picking the Cougs and Oregon, but you did take Texas Tech. So season standings right now, Sprague 6-4 in the big pack picks. I am 4-6 after an 0-3 weekend. Jason Swigart 3-7. So we're out of the gate a little slow here. Sprague's above 500. It's been a rough start. Let's open with
focusing on Sprague in the line this year.
All the energy's going.
That's because those ones actually matter. This is just fun. It's a fun way to talk about the games, right? We're not putting any money on this. First game up is obviously at noon on the Big Ten Network, in the line between Oregon and Oregon State in the Civil War. Yes, we still call it that. 35.5.
See, this is a game where I think Oregon makes an absolute statement to start. And they come out the gate. I told Swag I'd be shocked if this wasn't 21-0 or more at the end of the first quarter. I just wonder, do they get to the 3rd and 4th string guys who will never play by the back end? Can this be an absolute garbage time, 50-17? Unless Dan Lanning and that defense is locked in like they were Oklahoma State.
That'd be a cover.
I believe it can be. I will actually do it, and it's not a bias. It's we literally don't care anymore. We've beaten you to a pulp. We have Penn State.
They got a pretty big one next week.
Touchdown.
Yeah. Swag?
I don't think Oregon State can take advantage of it. I really don't. I think it all comes apart.
60-3.
I think it's going to be awful. I will lay the 35.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean with Swag on this one too. I keep gambling on Oregon State and learning the lesson the hard way. I'm 0-for-3. I picked them in all 3 games so far this year. I should have followed you last weekend. Now watch this be the one game I pick against them and they find a way to cover the spread in a back door. Their offensive line has been so bad. They're not going to be able to run the ball.
No. And they can't against anybody.
Yeah, I think Oregon's angry with the way that they played, and there's a message of let's be sharp going into our biggest game of the season. I don't think it's much more than 35, but I got a lot more trust in Oregon doing it than I do Oregon State right now.
Don't blame you.
And then the Apple Cup is at 4:30 on CBS. They get the CBS Gary Danielson treatment, and that is a line that has come down as the week has gone on. Your line currently, according to Vegas Insider, because you can't find it at A&A, 19.5. Washington State, a 19.5-point underdog.
I expect the Jimmy Rogers to come out with excitement. Jimmy Rogers.
They've named their starting quarterback, but they won't say who it is.
Well, because there's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them. And they chose on Sunday, but they won't announce it publicly.
Give me the Huskies all day. I think Jed Fish and company have a bone to pick with what happened last year. They're better. The quarterback is better. Give me the Huskies with the points.
I'll take the bait from Vegas. I'll take the points. That was
Taking
an embarrassment of all embarrassments.
You think it's bait?
Just from where it started.
It opened,
21 or something, and coming,
Put it up to 25. I'll take the Huskies in that.
There's just something. It's in Pullman. I think there'll be all sorts of wrinkles and surprises from Jimmy Rogers, and it'll be one of those things where the Huskies can never.
You know what you do? You throw the records out when these 2 teams play.
Surprise! We scored this week.
You throw
the Cougs will just keep hanging around, and they'll sneak inside the line late.
I cannot begin to tell you.
So you're going to take the Cougars plus 19?
Yeah.
After what they just did to you with North Texas.
19.5. Yeah. He's got the hook. He's getting a hook out of it.
Yeah.
He's got that hook.
Right.
He's got that hook.
Okay.
I can't even begin to tell you how happy I would be if that's the outcome of this game, Swag. If this game is uncomfortable and the Cougs are pushing them, my God, is my Saturday going to go phenomenally? Because I feel pretty good about the Civil War, so I know I'm going to be sitting, leaning back on my couch at this point, just laughing at all the other teams struggling as mine gets ready for Penn State. Dude, they were down by 50 points at halftime to North Texas last week.
I understand all of that.
And so I can't do it again.
All of that.
This line, to your point on it being, it makes literally no sense to me. Explain this line being 19.5. Anybody?
I don't care to because I don't buy it.
That's why.
Why don't you listen to the 3 and 7 guy?
Yeah. I mean, I'm only 4-6, so don't listen to me either. But I will take the Huskies to cover the 19.5. There's your big pack picks for the week.
The weather's going to be nice too. Like you're not going to Pullman in the cold
ass
weather
it's not
of
snowing.
November.
It's not. Yeah, I just
dude.
Could you imagine if they pulled off the upset? Could you imagine? Not going to happen. There's no way it happens, right? No way it happens.
Fire Jedd Fisch.
They won't run the option of the short side of
You
the
better
field
hope
again.
for Jedd Fisch to go to Florida if that happens.
We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. We'll start with this stat. How many of these NFL teams do you trust? Do we get a big wood laying tonight on Thursday Night Football? It's a loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 105.1 FM The Fan.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Your favorite neighborhood spots run on the square. You know the ones. Maybe it's the popular shop that just
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Week 3 of the NFL slate starts in Buffalo tonight. Bills looking to go 3-0. Very few, if any, think they won't get there, hosting the 0-2 Dolphins. Bills 12.5-point favorites. It is a 5:15 kick on Prime Video. Elsewhere in the NFL, some encouraging news for the 49ers. Quarterback Brock Purdy was on the practice field Wednesday doing some limited work. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said an outside chance he could play this Sunday as they take on the Cardinals. They are celebrating in D.C. The Commanders received the final approval for the RFK Stadium project to move forward. It'll bring the team back inside the district with plans to have the new stadium built in time for the 2030 season. Mariners Magic running out in Kansas City Wednesday. Their 10-game winning streak coming to an end with a 7-5 loss to the Royals. Seattle's now a half game behind the Astros in the chase for the AL West crown. They wrap up their series in Kansas City today, 11:10 a.m. first pitch. A win will put them back even with the Stros before they go to Houston for a weekend series. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for Seahawks. App.
All right, welcome back in. Final hour. Dirt and Sprague here. Portland Sports Leader, 105.1.
I can't wait to not hear this anymore.
2 more days. Well, actually, one more time. One more time, and you never have to hear it again.
Not the Roto-Rooter.
No, Roto-Rooter we love.
Roto-Rooter.
Roto-Rooter we love. Perfect sponsor.
We
for the
Roto-Roto.
Rivalry game. Is this the final time? Well, it's no
the
longer.
final time song needs to go.
It's no longer the final time. We have an answer now. They're playing it again. A couple of years.
Yeah,
back at Autzen.
Quite literally watching Swag making that song, the song of the Open. It is Jim Carrey, Liar Liar. Like, kicking my own ass. Do you mind?
Makes it a little bit worse. At least Oregon players are bringing some juice to the game. Jerry Mixon said we're going to go beat up little bro.
Let me say this.
Bryce Betcher was talking about how excited he is to play in this game yesterday.
Do you know he played baseball?
I did not. What?
He only came back to play football for a T-shirt and a backpack.
Are you sure about that?
Look, I'll say this. I actually love this. I'm not rooting, right, for Mixon, and I really like Betcher. I just,
how do you not? He's one of those guys like
you and I talk
he's
about
a walk-on football player. He's played his way into maybe an NFL linebacker.
I find it a little cliche. I'm telling you that at the front end of this, okay? But you and I talk about this from time to time. We may not always root for the other team, but you certainly find players you don't like.
Yes.
But I've always said, like, when a player is likable, I don't root against them.
Why would I root against them?
Like, Mariota was such a cool, great story and couldn't have been the more humble superstar that you ever could ask for, right? Herbert in the backyard couldn't get the Scully because he got hurt. He gets the walk-on. Oh, not walk-on, but he becomes, you know, the third guy that becomes the guy. I find people that hate the players odd. Betcher is easily a great, rootable, lovable storyline.
I'll always root for the local State of the Oregon kids. Not in this particular game because I want my team to win for obvious reasons, but
if Trent Walker gets a tutty,
like that's cool, man. I'm like when if he goes and gets a chance in the NFL, am I going to root against Trent Walker in the NFL because he wore a Beaver jersey? Like that behavior has always been funny. Nobody has caused me more pain as a college football fan over the last 4 years as a player than Michael Penix, and I love Michael Penix in the NFL. I'm rooting like hell for him. I love watching him play. He's phenomenal.
I'm with you there. So the Mixon comment, we didn't get to it, but he said that I think 2 days ago, actually.
2 days ago, he said we need to go beat up little bro.
He called him little bro. He said we're going to whoop that ass.
Yeah, Malik Murphy was asked for a response to this, and he basically said we're focused on what we're focused on.
I like Malik Murphy. No comment on that. I love when we lean into the rivalry, but I don't know if there's ever been more evidence of how dead this situation feels this year. Let's just hold it for this year.
Yeah.
Than a player of a team outright calling you little brother and saying they're going to plan to whoop that ass, and nobody cared or reacted. Really.
Nobody said anything.
It was just like,
it's kind of a footnote.
Yeah.
If that happened in 2009-ish, you imagine the comments by, LaMichael James calls Oregon State little bro, and we're going to go whoop that ass.
Imagine 2008. They were playing for the Rose Bowl.
They were. It's my favorite Civil War of all time.
James Rogers calls you Lil Bro because he fly swept your ass in Eugene.
2007, yeah.
You would go in that with hair on fire.
He was wearing a sports bra, and he scored a walk-off touchdown to beat Justin Roper in the Civil War, man.
The Rogers brothers. Do they still have eligibility?
Do they have any more? Do they have kids yet? How old are James and Jaquiz's kids? Let's check in on the family. Are they coming to Corvallis?
I don't think James has kids.
Oh, okay.
I haven't talked to James in a long time. James he couldn't have been a nicer guy.
Yeah.
Jaquiz, I'm curious. I'm pretty sure Jaquiz, I know of had at least one kid, and she's probably of a certain age. I don't know how old she is at this point, but Bring the Rogers brothers
Come
back.
on, bring them back. We got to find one more in the Rogers family to come on and play for the Beavs. Lots to get to in the final hour. No, we will not talk about Jerry Mixon's comments for the entirety. Tomorrow will be a Football Friday, so we'll have some thoughts, some final thoughts on the game, if you will.
Are there final thoughts?
I mean, we got to give our final predictions, our score predictions.
I thought we just did that with the big.
Got to give our final
the big people.
Final thoughts tomorrow, Football Friday.
Okay.
History tells us in the NFL that if you are this team and you started your season this way, you will not likely make the NFL playoffs.
0-2.
0-2.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's changed a little bit in the 17 games or 18, however many stupid games they play. 17 game schedule. It's changed a little bit.
Average record is 6-10 of 0-2 teams in the 17 game era.
Yes.
Average.
So since the NFL moved to the 14-team postseason format in 2020, 13.3% of teams that have started 0-2 overcame the slow starts and made the postseason. So 13% of teams since 2020, right?
Yeah.
3 squads last year started 0-2 and made the playoffs. Do you know who those 3 teams were?
Okay, say that one more time. Sorry.
3 teams from last year started 0-2 and made the playoffs. I would have been able to guess one of them. I would have never guessed the other 2.
Did the Broncos start 0-2?
The Broncos would have been the one that I would have guessed because I remember the Seattle game in the opener, and he was terrible, and everybody thought, oh, God.
Tampa start 0-2?
No, Houston and Tampa were not the teams.
Was it Philly?
It was not Philly.
Commanders.
It was not the Commanders. I would have never guessed these 2 teams. I'll give them to you if you want.
No, I don't want to give them to me. I want to
Keep
guess
guessing.
it.
Keep
That's
taking
the fun
shots.
of the segment.
Keep taking shots.
The Bills start 0-2?
They did not.
Rams.
The Rams started 0-2.
Rams did.
Well done. There's one more.
It's not the Bucks.
Nope.
Steelers.
No.
Damn it.
Well, the Ravens lost the opener because Likely's toe was out.
It was the Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens.
The Ravens. Good
so
call.
last year you had the Broncos, the Rams, and the Ravens that all started 0-2 and they made the playoffs.
The unlikely toe tap.
The unlikely, yes, toe is a little too big. 0-3 is just like you're not going essentially. I think 96 teams since 2020, 2002. 96 teams have started 0-3. Only 3 of them have made the playoffs. Only
Have any in
3.
the 17-game era started 0-3? Because I knew the 0-2 stats.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Some of them, 2 of them are Mike Tomlin teams. They snuck into the playoffs as a 7 seed in 2013 and in 2019.
Yeah,
the other one is the 2018 Texans, who rolled off a 9-game winning streak after starting 0-3.
Okay.
So history tells you 0-2 is not great. 0-3 might be a nail in the coffin for the rest of your season.
It's a death sentence.
That being known and that being said, we have, and let me count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 0-2 teams in the NFL through 2 weeks. How many of them are we buying to be a legitimate playoff contender? And then I will give you the numbers. We can carry this over to the next segment. One of them is playing tonight and is going to be 0-3, breaking news. And I will give you what the percentages say of their chances of making the playoffs. Your 0-2 teams are the Panthers, the Chicago Bears, the Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans.
There's only 2.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
There's only 2.
The Miami Dolphins. The New Orleans Saints. The New York Giants. The New York Jets. And the Tennessee Titans. You're saying only 2, and I'm assuming I know who the 2 are.
Well, we can carry it over, but I asked you yesterday, and you didn't perform for me, and you're kind of known on the show for doing it. I need a dead dolphin sound.
You need a dead dolphin?
What's your best? Because that's good.
That was pretty good.
Did he eat plastic? Is he got a hook in his fin? I don't know, but he's dying.
He got one of those, what are they called? The soda pop things where the
plastic.
The plastic,
yeah.
He's got one of those stuck on his snout.
Whatever,
That's what's happening over there.
Yeah, there's only 2. And we can carry it over if you want. I don't know how much 0-2 talk
you give no
give.
chance of any of the other teams because I know who you're going to give me. You're
I-
going to give me Kansas City and Houston.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess what Kansas City's playoffs play out now? Take this for what it's worth because a lot of people don't, and I truly don't always buy into the FPI. According to ESPN's FPI, do you want to guess what Kansas City's percentage chance is to make the playoffs right now? Before
67%.
51.8.
Yeah. Tough division. I totally get it. They absolutely could be in this. And you said the panic meter and where it's all at. How are we in this Mahomes, Reed, Chiefs era? And certainly, look, whenever you give these opinions and people counter it and they're right, they love to tell you they were right.
They will.
But when they're wrong, you don't hear from them. I'm just probably always going to lean a benefit to Hall of Fame
coach, quarterback,
championship coach pedigree.
I don't blame you. Until the Giants beat him on Sunday.
Look, it's 2 weeks. Denver last week. Snapshot, moment in time, or should we be having our antennas up about that?
Let's also not act like they were thrilling and phenomenal in the first week and a win at home against Tennessee, who's one of the worst teams in the NFL.
The Raiders just showed you how quickly and easily they can get blown out in a game. Now, the Chargers look like they're pretty good this year, right?
Bolt up.
So I think you look within the division, and we thought, unstoppable great division. Well, slow start for Denver. Let's see where that goes. They play the Chargers this week. Talk about a big game.
Do.
The Raiders, okay. I don't know, man. I think the Chiefs deserve a benefit until it's clear that they're not.
Let me
and the
ask you
Houston
this.
Texans are. I still don't buy that division, even with the great Indiana Jones start.
Sure.
The Jags are a disaster still.
I actually did talk to James Jones.
Lawrence just continues to not look like a franchise quarterback.
Brian Thomas is a problem, and he's yelling at his coach on the sideline in the middle of a game.
And the Titans aren't doing it this year. Not year one with Cam Ward. So I look at their division and say they're not out of it. They almost just beat the Bucs.
Okay, 2 follow-up questions for you. One, how much does, and I don't think anybody believes this will happen, but it's the NFL, so you always have to grant there is the possibility. Does the opinion change if the Chiefs lose on the road to the Giants this weekend? Because the Giants have been feisty in their first 2 games. Let's not act like they're a pushover. Now, Dallas' defense is horrific, but he just threw for 700 yards and 4 touchdowns against them.
I'm sure Kansas City's going to allow every moon ball to land.
I'm sure that they will. And also, I'm going to give you this on the other side, and then we'll talk a little bit about this team. What is the playoff percentage chance for the Houston Texans? Because I agree with you. They're a fascinating team, man. 0-2. The 2 losses are games that they could have won. Is C.J. Stroud good? Is he still good?
What's up with the offense?
What's happened to the offense?
Question.
Ever since he big broed Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud's career has taken a left turn, and not for the good. So I want to talk a little about them. I'll give you their playoff percentage chance, and do we buy into any of the other 0-2 teams? Because one of them is playing on Thursday Night Football tonight and probably will be 0-3. Back after this with some more NFL next on The Fan. All right, a couple thoughts here at the fan text line. Listen to you every morning while I drive to work on 1080 The Fan, but I got a new car, and I turned it to 1080 The Fan and thought you all got replaced because your voices are completely different. Threw me off for a couple of days. Shouldn't matter, but relearning what your voices sound like is strange. Have you heard of this before?
Yeah.
Which voice is more accurate? I'm assuming you're talking about going from AM to FM. If you're still listening on 1080 The Fan, you can do that if you want to. But also, we are on 105.1 FM The Fan now. So I do know everybody's voices sound drastically different from the FM signal to the AM signal.
I'd imagine the FM is the more accurate representation of the voice.
Yeah, I would think so. I sound like Morgan Freeman on FM, so I'm pretty psyched about that. Some people tell me. I get tweets like that all the time. Somebody's saying, does Dirt have a single UW player he roots for? Because I kind of doubt that he does. I literally just gave you one in the last segment, Michael Penix. Also, one of my favorite baseball players in the history of the sport is Tim Lincecum. And one of my favorite Blazers of all time is Brandon Roy. So I don't have any... that rivalry thing, like Patrick does this. He's a Coug, obviously. They got the Apple Cup. He's this way of he won't root for the guy in the pros that went to Washington. And everybody can fandom however they want to fandom. That's just never been who I am. And mainly because I went through an era where my favorite player on my baseball team and my basketball team were both Huskies.
This is a football nightmare, brother.
Tim Lincecum revived the Giant fan base when he made his debut. That was such a big deal when the Freak broke in and he won back-to-back Cy Youngs. He was incredible. And then Brandon Roy did the same thing for the Blazers were the jail Blazers. They were gone and forgotten. Nobody cared about him. And Brandon Roy revived all of it. What am I going to be anti-Brandon Roy as a Blazer fan? Get the hell out of here, dude. Build a statue for that guy. Retire the numbers. So,
yeah, I think you can root against an institution or
root against him when they're at the school. I'm not rooting for him to win games when he's at Washington.
I also college is weird in this way because of the pageantry, because of the nostalgia and the memories some of us that went have or growing up became fans of because of some tie in some way. Like when Oregon scores a touchdown this weekend, and they will. How many? Well, that's on them to decide.
TBD.
Whenever you see a rival score on you, in college, I weirdly almost never, like the FPI 99% that Oregon is favored to win this game by, 99% of the time, a rival scores on you. I don't view it as a player in a weird way.
The school is scoring on you.
Oh, they scored on us. I don't go, Mariota did it again.
Yeah.
I somehow disconnect that. Whereas in the NFL,
I do the same thing as a fan. Yeah.
If Rodgers scores and gets the Steelers over 500, I'm like,
it was more personal. There he goes,
Rodgers.
I mean, James Rodgers scored on a fly sweep in a sports bra. I had buddies who were close friends with him when he was in college. Like I heard he was a great guy. I didn't hate James Rodgers for that.
Yeah,
I hated Oregon for losing the game.
Beat you at Oregon.
That ended the streak of the home team winning every year, and they were the first to go on the road and break it. And then Oregon was able to rattle off a few after that. A fun trivia question. So we're talking about 0-2 NFL teams. Miami is one of them. They're playing tonight. Harley on the YouTube chat is saying he wants to go gamble Miami money line tonight. Buddy.
Harley.
Buddy.
Harley.
To each their own. You have the ability to peacock so bleeping strong tomorrow if the Miami Dolphins win this game. If you're actually going to bet that bad boy, good for you. Let it fly. What the hell? Nothing to lose.
I want to see if I can find it, but my uncle, before he passed away years ago, he was in a biker gang, like a legitimate
biker gang.
Just some stories he didn't finish. You know what I mean? And he bought my little brother a Harley Davidson toy, and you push a button to make a sound. And the guy used to click it. He'd be like, ride to live, live to ride. And then it would be a Harley sound. That's all I'm thinking about tonight if the Dolphins win is P1 Harley and that sound effect.
Rev that engine. I asked this during the break, so Sprague now knows the answer. I'll ask Jason Swigard. Riggins over here. Let's see if you can figure this one out. And is there a team this year? Do we still feel this way about Kansas City? In the history of the Super Bowl, there are only 3 teams that have started 0-2 and have gone on to win the Super Bowl trophy. So this is going back in the history of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
3 times it's happened. Can you name the 3 times?
He was 10 the first year the Super Bowl started. So he's got a pretty good historical baseline.
He's seen all of them.
I do know it was the Cowboys.
1991.
Emmitt Smith contract dispute year.
That is one of them. He sat out the first 2 games. They started 0-2, went on to win the Super Bowl in 1991. The other 2, I will give you a hint, have happened after that. That was the first time it ever happened.
No, it was more wild card teams, and I'm trying to remember who the wild card teams were.
There's a fairly obvious one that I will
You guessed it right out of the gate when I gave this to you in the break.
Was it the Giants team that wrecked the perfect season?
Yes, you nailed it. 2007, the Giants gave up 80 points in their first 2 games of the season. Their defense was an embarrassment, and they went on to win the Super Bowl.
I'm going to die with the opinion. Not best team, but won the Super Bowl.
Are you going, not my champion? Not my real Super Bowl champion?
No, they earned it in that game.
They earned it in 1 week. They also played, as you point out, in the final game of the regular season. It did not go well for the Giants in that game.
Was it the Steelers team that beat the Seahawks?
It was not.
Okay.
No. The other one, and I'll give it to you because we're already against it, and I want to talk about the Texans. When you hear it, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. The 2001 Patriots, when Brady won his first title, he didn't start until week 3. They started that season 0-2. Bledsoe started right out of the gate. He got hurt. Brady came in. He started in week 3. They went on to win the Super Bowl. Only 3 times in the history of the league has it happened, and it has not happened since 2007, and I was in high school in 2007. So Kansas City has a chance, maybe. I think they're the only one we probably put into this category, but I asked you going into the last break, what did we make of Houston? Their playoff percentage chance, according to ESPN's FPI, 24% chance to make the playoffs. Now, I tend to lean with you. That division is so wide open that I can't eliminate them, but this is now out. It's almost weird because I go the opposite way of some people where people want to focus on the playoff game and what happened for them last year and how they dominated the Chargers. It almost masked a pretty bad regular season for them. Like, their offense was abysmal at times. Their offensive line wasn't good. Their receivers were banged up. They struggled mightily. Now, they're still good defensively. They lost 2 games that they could have won. They have only scored 9 points in week 1 and 19 points in week 2, and that touchdown came really late on Monday night against the Bucs. I don't know what to make of them and their offense, and if they were in any other division, I think I would have the Houston Texans eliminated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if they're in the AFC West or the North, I'm certainly there with
gone.
you.
Cross them off the list.
You know, D'Amico's defense, it looks great. That last drive is just a backbreaker, man. Like, that's where you need the stout unit to win the game for you, essentially, because
they had Baker bottled up on a play that should have been the game over, and
4th and 10
he wiggled loose and picked up 30 yards.
So there is something here with this, because Nico started in that game really good. He got that long touchdown to open the game and seemingly disappeared the rest of the game, right? Tampa really bottled him up. After Nico Collins, it starts to get a little bleak for them right now, right? Like, with the injuries they have at receiver, you look around and you go, okay, you got a Schultz. You got a Dalton Schultz there. You got kind of an old Chubb. Like, it's hard to win when you have an old Chubb.
Not an old Chubb.
Not the strongest, that Chubb.
You want a young Chubb.
That Chubb finally broke through, but it took him a while, right? So I just look at that offense, and I don't think the offensive line has improved all that much. I don't know what it is, man, because it ain't Slowick no more. Slowick's gone. But I'm not going to eliminate them because guess who they play the next 2 weeks?
Probably Cupcakes.
Jacksonville and Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville certainly can get them.
This is a must-win game for, like, you can't start 0-3. If 0-3,
well,
you
the
can't
Colts
lose
have
this
the
game.
Titans this week, so if the Colts get to 3-0,
Well, there's a fun fact here that
if you're falling so far back in the division early, your only way is to go through the wild card. And
just keep this in the back of your mind for tomorrow, both of you, okay?
Yeah.
The history. This isn't a Sprague like, hey, I'm telling you this, so believe it. This is the history of it. 0-2 teams taking on 1-1 teams against the spread cover 70% of the time.
Yeah, because they're in desperation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
it's their
so, like,
season.
of the 2 teams, Jacksonville blowing that game last week was insane. 3 picks by Browning, and you still lost that game.
Yeah, no Burrow and you lose. Come on.
I'm not out on the Texans. I absolutely think the division's going to keep them alive. I have been nothing but idiotic on the Colts. I put them as the bottom 5 team. That looks stupid right now. I'm not ready to fully go in and say they're going to win the division. Let's see this continue to roll on.
Or even this weekend. You never know. That's the beauty of the NFL.
They're
I imagine
slight.
they will, but there's only a slight favorite there.
Yeah, a 1-point favorite at the Titans. I don't know what's happening there, but their division's going to keep them live in it all season long. They need to get this corrected, and I am starting to kind of have thoughts of, C.J. Stroud, great rookie year.
He was 23 touchdowns and 5 picks as a rookie.
And I'm with you. It didn't even mask it for me. I just thought that was a combination of Chargers on the road. People kind of loved the Chargers because Houston was so inconsistent all year.
Chargers had a better record than them. The only reason it was in Houston was because Houston was a division winner.
And Herbert threw 4 picks.
Yeah.
And like that's it. So it didn't mask me on how I viewed the Texans. They play really well in big games. I give them that, but just lost one. They have to bounce back this weekend. That offense needs to be fixed in a hurry because it's going on over a year since it's been broken.
Yeah, 2 games into the season, C.J. Stroud completing 62% of his passes, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 52 times last year. He's already been sacked 6 times through 2 games. He is now up in 34 career games. He has been sacked 96 times.
Okay, so give me his numbers, his completion percentage.
62% completion percentage through 2 games. His career high was as a rookie at 63.9. It went down to basically 63% last year.
Yeah.
And it is 2 games. It is a small sample size.
It's a very small sample size.
He is sub 63% early in the season with only 1 touchdown pass on the year.
And that's incredibly problematic. And I would also say there's a quarterback that has, in some metrics, better numbers that we're already bagging as a bust. Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb is a half percentage away from his completion percentage.
The guy who CJ Stroud big broed after the game.
He's got 400
year.
passing yards, 3 touchdowns to 1 pick. So, and we look at him and say, not going well at all. I find narratives very interesting.
Well, CJ Stroud's won a playoff game, don't you know?
He's won a couple, actually.
Yes, he's won 2 of them.
Yeah, okay.
It's all that matters in quarterback conversations.
I'm not saying this to suggest Caleb is better.
Right.
I'm
I get
just
what you're
saying, keep an eye on it.
Narratives
man.
are funny. That's the whole point of this is the Texans have benefited from being in a very bad division. He was great as a rookie. He was not very good last year. It wasn't all on him. The offensive line was terrible.
It was really bad.
And all of his wide receivers got hurt. It takes a village to win as a quarterback. That is true. I just, as years go on with this, you're not wrong about their weapons and their wide receivers outside of one player. Their offensive line has been an issue, clearly early on in the season once again, and so it's just something to file away and keep an eye on. They're 0-2. 0-3, I'll just tell you right now, I don't care how bad your division is. They lose this weekend, they're not making the playoffs. I'll go ahead and mark that one down in Sharpie.
And what if the Colts lose to the Titans? Doesn't that open it back up to the idea that something rare could happen?
It does, but I just,
Jacksonville,
0-3.
Tennessee aren't.
You got to go the rest of the way if you're 0-3 in order to finish above 500, because I don't see that being a below 500 division winner. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
They got the Titans in 2 weeks. They got Jacksonville this weekend. I get where you're coming from. That division, nothing impressive.
Shouldn't host a playoff game. Is that what you're telling me? Make
No.
them go on the road? Is that what you're saying?
Nope.
Is that what you're saying? They've always been bad? Yeah, divisions always sucked.
You won't hear from me.
I love it. I brought this up off the air a couple of weeks ago after the show. I'm like, the AFC South has sucked my entire life. It gave me the Colts. Yeah, the Colts were the only good team in the division at that time.
The Titans have had
The Titans have been dog-ass my entire life.
Ryan Tannehill, Derrick
Ryan
Henry.
Tannehill, 1 year
Hello.
they go to the AFC title game. That doesn't mean they've been great my entire life. The Jags have done nothing outside of 2 seasons in my entire lifetime.
Okay.
Early on when they went to an AFC title game, and then the random year where they should have beat the Patriots in New England with Blake Bortles at quarterback, and then it all crumbled on them. And the Texans were fine with Deshaun Watson, but come on now. That division is blown for a long time.
You know what I love about you? I love that when you say opinions on things on and off the air, you love to say, in my entire life.
My entire lifetime. That's the only timeline that matters for me. I don't care about before then.
I'm trying to find who has actually the worst winning percentage as a division since 1989.
Yeah, well, some of these teams weren't even in the division, and the Texans didn't exist, and neither did the Jags.
You're right. The Saints and Falcons used to be in the Niner division, so you're right.
Exactly.
The divisions are tough.
We'd have to go a little bit more recent than that. Let's dive in a little bit to tonight's game. Do we care? We got to watch? Where we at? Thursday Night Football. We lay in the big wood. That's next. First, here's us with a update.
This is a Rivalry Week edition of Dirt and Sprague, brought to you by Roto-Rooter. Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan. Well, if the Bills run roughshod over the Dolphins, flip over to ESPN2. Elimination doubleheader in round 1 of the WNBA playoffs. The home teams have won every game in both these series. Fever and Dream in Atlanta at 4:30. And then the Storm and Aces from Vegas at 6:30.
That's it? That's your update?
WNBA playoffs.
Jeez, how about you're going to take a fat nap after the show? Give me something more than that. How about this one? There is a species of male crab that can basically mimic a shelter and then make the sound of a prey that a female crab of its same species would be attracted to go get. And then when it goes into its little mimicked lair, they mate. What would the sound of you be to get your wife to come in to mate? Come on, give me your best one.
I don't know. Going for a mating call? I don't know what I'm doing here.
That was your mating call?
That's my mating call, yeah.
Swag?
Come find me.
I think mine would be, oh, hello. And she'd just go, what's in there?
I'm going to go wander on in. Whenever a crime gets pulled off at this level, I actually kind of applaud the criminal here. There is a man at the popular Disney Springs restaurant who swam up to the restaurant in scuba gear and a wetsuit and then swam away after stealing nearly $20,000 in cash. Evidently, he broke in shortly after midnight. I think it's a restaurant that's out on water. He scubaed up, broke into the restaurant in his scuba gear, jumped back into the water, swam away. Nobody has any idea who he was. He came away with $20,000. That's kind of a brilliant crime right there.
More WNBA crab and caper stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of
All right, welcome back in. I could give you one of these every day. I quite enjoy it.
No diggities?
I have. The Eagles are the only team to start 2-0 without throwing a passing touchdown since the 2000 Detroit Lions. Jalen Hurts this season has 5 yards passed beyond 10 yards at the line of scrimmage, and he has 9 tush pushes.
What is your deal with the constant teardown of a quarterback?
I build some up and I tear some down. You never know which way I'm going to go.
I do find it interesting.
I fight against narratives, dude. Narratives drive me nuts, and I fight against them and until I see everybody agree with what the correct, nuanced.
I don't think it's a narrative that's real, though.
I do think it's a narrative that's real. I think people truly believe that Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL or a top 7 quarterback in the NFL because he won a Super Bowl.
So you think if you polled, let's just take the media out. Okay?
Yeah,
the
take the media
is there
out.
to sensationalize,
I think if you polled,
divide, and anger.
Yes, the vast majority of NFL fans.
And you said you want Herbert or Jalen Hurts. You think those football fans are choosing Jalen Hurts?
I don't know if it's a blowout, but I think Herbert would win because I give at least some respect. But I think it's too close for comfort, and it shouldn't be that close. It's basically what I'm saying. It should be a 90-10 poll.
So because it might finish,
it's 55-45. I think it's a lot closer than you're giving it credit for because he hasn't won a playoff game and one guy's won a Super Bowl, and that's all that matters for some people, and it drives me nuts as if it's not a team game. And so that's why I fight the narrative. He also hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in the first 2 weeks of the season, but his team's 2-0. That's all you got to do in order to win.
I find him so likable and
there's
humble.
no doubt he's likable for sure.
He was caught talking a little less back and forth with Chris Jones. Who knows what's being said during these whole games, by the way, but
yes. Chris Jones was telling him you only threw for 100 yards. He was making fun of him at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Said you barely threw for 100 yards. Like, shut up, Jalen. And he said, we won the game. You shut up.
I mean, is that a proper response if somebody's going to tell you to shut up? I'd be like, yeah, well, we're winning. I mean, okay.
I actually appreciated both sides of the trash talk. Like, I appreciated Chris Jones being like, dude, you didn't do anything. You're just here on the group project. You pushed it forward twice on 3rd and 1. That's all you had to do all day. You won the game anyways, and Jalen Hurts is right. We won the game, and that's all that matters to him.
So you're Spider-Man memeing both of those situations.
I appreciate both those.
Right.
You are right. You're both right here, and I appreciate it. Good back and forth.
Then can we do this before you break?
Yeah.
I want you to properly tell me where he should be for quarterbacks then, because you said yesterday the Baker thing, right? And I think in a lot of ways I agree with you.
If Baker Mayfield was on the Eagles last year, they won the Super Bowl. There's not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind. Jalen Hurts, win the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, healthy, obviously, caveat, win the Super Bowl. Jared Goff, win the Super Bowl. Jordan Love, again, healthy, right? Got to be playing, but he was at the end of the year. Win the Super Bowl. Hell, I'll give you Geno Smith. I think the Eagles win the Super Bowl with Geno Smith, the quarterback last year. I keep going. You want me to keep going? C.J. Stroud, probably.
You really don't like him.
It's not a don't like thing. I just don't think he's that good.
I mean, as a player. I'm not.
No, I don't think he's that good. I don't. Do we have eyes? Do we watch games? He struggles to throw for 100 yards. But we have to pretend as if winning games is all like he's the only reason they're winning games because he won.
I don't think people say he's the only
reason. He threw for 100 yards against Kansas City last week.
I think the story was the defense stepped up.
It is in every game because their defense is elite, and he's got Saquon Barkley to hand the ball off to.
So if he has, the Rams this weekend, right?
Yeah.
If he goes out and throws for 380 and 3 tutties,
I'll tip my cap and say that's a tremendous game. He probably has 2 of those in his entire career of throwing over 350 yards in a game. Doesn't happen very often. Where would I rank? He'd be outside my top 10. If you ask me for my tiers of quarterbacks list, there's no chance Jalen Hurts is in the top 10. No chance. I'll give you 10 names that I think are better than him every day.
Well, you just gave me 4, and one of those is very polarizing, saying Geno coming off a 3-pick game on Monday Night Football.
You put Jalen Hurts on with the Raiders and those pieces instead of taking away, hey, I can't hand the ball to Saquon Barkley 19 times today, and my defense isn't going to hold Mahomes to 17 points.
You know, Dirt, for a long time they said that about Brady, too, and he became the GOAT.
That he did, Bob.
Geno on the Eagles... I want to kind of give you a take. I defend Geno against some Seahawk fans.
Sure.
The element of the tush push.
I just think that much of the Eagles roster. The tush push, no doubt, is a big part of it.
There's no doubt.
I think that much of their roster that I think it's not necessarily just a shot at Hurts. It's more of like, I think they're so good that you could rotate in a number. This to me is like prime Shaq. Like Kobe was a part of winning those titles in the early 2000s. There's no doubt.
Pretty big part.
I know. My whole point is Shaq maybe was the most dominant player in the history of the NBA in that stretch, and I think there's a dozen guys that you could have swapped out as the number 2 scoring option, and they still would have won a 3-peat.
You know, if Tracy McGrady was in here, he'd also agree with that take.
Allen Iverson, go down the list of guys. Vince Carter,
and Shaq.
Yes, go down the list of guys that are not losing to the Nets in the NBA Finals
or the Pacers
in the NBA Finals.
Now, here is the interesting thing: and this is an argument to you or for you. I mean, they bared this out last year. When they passed more, they weren't quite as successful.
Nope.
When they pivoted into just running, tush-pushing, and defense, it ultimately was the deciding factor. The benefit for him is his Super Bowl appearances are pretty good.
He's been phenomenal in big games, and I cannot take that away from him.
You certainly can look at the playmakers outside of Barkley and say, if you had like a Herbert Or, I saw
You think
Reddit.
A.J. Brown has 2 catches this year if Justin Herbert's a starting quarterback? I mean, he might have more than that, but
Dude, he didn't get his first target for 8 yards until super late in that
The Eagles
first
put out a
game.
highlight after their win over Kansas City, and they did a slow motion. They said, since we're doing slow motion this week, replays, watch this one. And it was a pass of Jalen Hurts. The only one that they could find was him throwing a slant to A.J. Brown, and the ball was like 2 feet behind his head, and he one hand caught it.
Well, you could have gone to the Devonta Smith moonball jump ball that he made. That was a good throw.
That was a decent throw. I'll give you that. Are we excited for Thursday Night Football? Let's close up there. We didn't get to it. Are we? I mean, we're going to watch, right? We're going to watch?
No, we're not.
You're not going to watch?
This is background
noise
There's
tonight?
going to be more baseball being watched by some.
Will it be a dead dolphin? We'll close up there and send you on your way to Thursday next. 105.1 FM The Fan. Now getting challenged to a fight at Irving Park at noon. Don't be mad at me because I'm right. Don't be mad at me because I'm right. You know I'm right.
I'm going to tell you
all right,
two
I love
things.
you. I love you all. Brock Purdy, too, could have won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Well, Brock Purdy got to a Super Bowl with the Niners, so look, there is a range of
I would say the same.
quarterbacks.
If Brock Purdy had beaten the Chiefs 2 years ago, if they catch a punt and don't have a PAT blocked and they win that game, and people rush to put Brock Purdy into a conversation of top 5. Like, this was the narrative when they were having that great year. He was an quote-unquote MVP candidate. And it's like, dude, no, he's not. He's on a really good team with a lot of really good weapons. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But he's not – he doesn't belong in a most valuable player conversation. Stop it.
Yeah, I just think sometimes you're allowing a tweet or a national pundit who needs to get a click for an organization to drive more the narrative than reality. But I did love the countering. I 100% agree with Dirt. And then 2 texts later, Dirt's Jalen Hurts take is insufferable. And I will also say this.
Yeah.
If I was you, don't show up to that Irving Park fight. You will lose.
Oh, I'm not showing up. I'm fighting anybody.
You go to
dude.
Irving Park, you ain't winning that fight.
I couldn't beat up a grandpa right now.
Well,
man.
that's just in general. You go to Irving Park, you're getting your ass whooped.
Yeah, not going in that. Not going over there. Not fighting anybody.
But we
all
still
right?
love you.
We all love you. Yeah, don't be mad at me because I'm right. You know I'm right. How about this? How about
you just?
How about you get back to me when Jalen Hurts has 25 touchdown passes in a season? You know who has 25 touchdown passes in a season? Tua. He's done it twice. How about you get back to me when Jalen Hurts throws for 4,000 yards? You know who's done that? You know who led the NFL in passing 3 years ago?
But you don't need
Tua.
Okay, but my point is, you don't need him to do that with this team.
It's because he's on the best team in the NFL, and that's why he wins.
Why don't you look at his
End of
rushing
argument.
touchdown stats?
He's great from 1 yard out. There's no doubt. Thursday Night Football is tonight.
Push that tush.
Are we laying the big wood? You going to lay some money on 11.5, 12.5? What's the line at?
Still in here?
What are we looking at right now?
Yep, I'm doing it.
You laying big? Are you doing Sprague in the line?
Sprague in the line.
Oh, Thursday
laying
pick.
12.5.
Love it.
Okay.
It's going to be just
Swag's coming off a 3-0 weekend. You're feeling good.
Slaughter. And I am hoping it breaks some NFL records and breaks the Dolphins completely.
You think it's going to be that bad on a short week?
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they covered the spread, but like the idea of them winning 52-0, I just don't think that can happen in the NFL. But maybe I'm wrong.
I just think it's a short week. I think the Dolphins don't want to be there. Bills will march down a couple of times. Josh Allen runs, trucks a safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give you this stat? And this is almost getting me to also join him here.
You going to jump in, Sprague in the line?
Josh Allen has played the equivalent of a 17-game season versus the Dolphins in his career.
He's never lost on Thursday Night Football.
7-0.
Here's his numbers. 4,500 passing yards, 44 passing touchdowns, 11 picks, 65 completion percentage, 757 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, 15-2.
That's pretty good. Pretty damn good. I remember the game, one of the ones they lost down in Miami. Wasn't it like 117 degrees?
Swag, Are they up 17 and some stupid Achane touchdown happens and we are irate that ends up being a 10-point win?
It's possible. I think they'll be up 17 or more at halftime. They could be up 20 at halftime. And I
think the question is how much have the Dolphins quit?
I think they have.
I mean, that game
have they already
had
quit?
To have close to broke their spirits, right?
It was bad. I mean, they were there with New England. No, I don't think New England's fine. They threw a late pick too. They threw a terrible pick late in that game.
New England needed a kick return to win the game.
Well, they have counteracting kick returns, didn't they, on back-to-back plays or back-to-back series? Yeah.
Oh, you weren't here for Factoid Tuesday.
No, I missed Factoid Tuesday.
That was the first time we've had back-to-back kicks, a punt return and a kickoff return.
Really?
Since 1992.
That's pretty cool.
Can you name the 2 players who did it? Because I played this game with him.
In 1992, I have no clue.
You could guess.
Can I?
I got one of them.
He got one of them. Right
Deion Sanders?
Deion Sanders.
I'm assuming that was a punt?
Yes.
Rocket Ishmael.
You're not far off, but think of the era.
Think of the era. The early 1990s. Was Desmond Howard in the NFL?
Sir.
Yeah,
there it is.
Okay. All right.
Here's the key. Okay? This is the key tonight.
To win games, you have to win the game.
Will they win the game to win the game?
No. They can't win any game against the Bills.
God, this is so good. Pull all of this for tomorrow. I'm actually kind of rooting for the Dolphins
He's won
now.
6 straight against
They're
Miami.
plus
Dude, he dominates.
575 on the money line.
He's never lost on Thursday Night Football. The numbers you gave against the Dolphins are phenomenal. Like he's all the signs are pointing to it. Are you doing Sprague and line, Sprague? Final call. Final call. Clock's running out. Make a pick.
You don't have to. Don't get pressured.
You don't need to do it.
I wholeheartedly believe this is going to be.
Yeah, Swag's got his pick in. It's been written on the show sheet. It is down. Sharpie. Not getting erased. You doing it?
I'm in.
Let's go.
Let's fill it up, baby.
I'm rooting so hard for the
12-point
Dolphins
favorite
now.
last week covered for
Let's
me.
go.
I'll do it again. Are you going to bet the Dolphins?
Hell no, I'm not going to bet the Dolphins. I'm just rooting for both of you to lose a game so I can make up some ground. I'm behind you.
What's the spread?
12.5.
12.5.
I hate that.
It's a big number.
I know.
Big number.
Give it to me.
Backdoor me, McDaniel. Wait, what? Excuse me? Hey, that'll do it for us. Have a great Thursday, everybody.
Would that be winning the game to win the game?
Hey, quick reminder. After Dirk gets backdoored by McDaniel tonight.
Yeah. Jake Butt tomorrow.
Jake Butt tomorrow.
8:30. Dan Lanning, 4 o'clock. Isaac.
That's right. Yeah. Thursday chat. I'll see everybody at Irvin Park at noon. Have a great rest of your day.
Be square.
Have a great rest of your day. If you missed the show, go find the podcast, like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you haven't done so yet. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. The Firm of Harrison Meringue is next. You're listening to 105.1 FM The Fan.